Hi, I think that is me live. Hello if you're on stream. Really nice to see you back again if you've come back from last time. I think I have got better latency this time, hopefully. So hopefully the chat will be a bit more responsive if you guys leave a message, and hopefully I'll see it. I've also done some improvements I'm very proud of myself for. So I have a slightly new desk setup, which means that now the screen I'm using is next to the screen that shows me chat and things. I don't know why I've written located the zoom on my, I don't know what that means. I added a water timer, which I'm going to press now to remind me to drink, which I did not do on the last stream, which I think was probably a bad idea. I also have bi lighting set up, which is fun and should add a bit more depth of color, but I accidentally left the bar light, one of the bar lights on, didn't realize it wasn't connected to the charger, so it discharged the battery. We'll see how that goes anyway. But yeah, so I'm going back to working on the job tracker that I was working on last time. Very quick recap that I am building a little job tracker to help me find jobs, I guess. And I'm planning on giving it away for free, but I am going to hopefully make some money through it. So I'm trying to be clear with that with people so that if anyone provides any help, they're not surprised that I'm also asking for money in a roundabout way. And I obviously won't be asking for money from people helping me, just to clarify it. I'm planning on adding like a little, like, you can support me here, but only if you actually get a job. And obviously don't do it if you don't currently have a job, which I know a lot of software engineers are finding themselves in that position at the moment. That is it for updates for the moment. Oh yeah, sorry. So the project itself, not super far on it. Let me jump over to try and remember which button is which. This one? Nope, that's currently the one we're on. There we go. So the project itself is written in Rust, obviously. That's why I'm showing it off on stream, with the whole point being, like, I think people would like to see how Rust projects are made. Let's hide that one. YouTube scripts, that's going to give the game away. Yes, I am still working on the Iris channel, on the Iris series. I was actually hoping to have filmed the next one yesterday and then got stuck in London, and a 20-minute journey ended up being like an hour and something, and I was too burnt out to do it yesterday, but hopefully filming tomorrow and then editing up. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. Getting towards the end of that as well, I might bring that up later in the stream, but getting towards the end of the Iris series, and would love feedback on what people think they'd like to do next. I have some ideas, what they'd like to see from the channel next. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, we'll do, let's bring the app up. Starting it this way. I haven't actually, IntelliJ obviously supports running apps, or running tasks and stuff itself, but I haven't gotten around to that yet. So this is the app. Oh, maybe I need to bring this out of here so I can show you the app as well. Is it Alt? Yeah, it is. Okay, cool. And then now where did the app go? Huh. There we go. Okay, so bring that in. Okay, so at the moment we've got like our list of companies, we've got a list of roles, we've got some storage. So this was the thing that we added last time, the ability to change the role description. One of the problems I ran into at the end of the last stream was as I moved around, it's gone back to doing it. Have I not updated the thing? Let's just check this. So I ran into an issue where basically as you change these remain the company you're currently selecting. It will leave the roles selected. I thought I'd fix that, so let's just close this for a moment. We'll go back over to the desktop app, see why that's not working. So the way that I fixed it literally the next day with a one-line code fix was, sorry, it's not in desktop, it's in UI source. I just set each radio to render itself unchecked, and that seemed to work out all right. If you happen to be watching, by the way, could you drop me a message in the chat? Because I'm going to get real paranoid that I've broken chat again like last time. We'll see. I'm going to get my phone out because I know some people texted me last time to say, hey, your chat's not working. Nothing yet. Okay, we'll see how it goes. So in role list, we had the populated role list. So that is the, I should probably keep it running. Let's reopen it. It's going to get a little hard to show you and the code at the same time. So the role list, when it's empty, looks like this. The empty role list is just select a company to see the roles, which is what you can see here. And then the populated role list, when you select a company, you will get the roles coming up in here. Now, the way it's supposed to work is that we have these role list items, and they are supposed to be checked false. Okay, well, I'm going to come back to that, I think, because I'm not sure why it is staying checked when it moves companies. Very odd. And that means you won't be able to recollect on that. Okay, not a massive issue. It's not what I want to work on today. So let's just go back over to here and we will add a bug. Yeah, so that's another issue. Roles don't unselect when changing companies. Blank issue. I haven't really set out any labels or anything yet. I guess there's some default ones, so we'll just add a bug on there. Cool. And let's move on to the actual thing that I want to do today. So today, last time I talked a little bit about the way that I'm storing information. So I'm currently storing information using a libsql database. I went through a couple of iterations on this. So what I really wanted to do was, there is a database system called Surreal, which looks really cool, and I really wanted to try it out. But because I'm making a desktop application, the Surreal's not really a database. It's more of a front end for databases. And then the back end database that you might use if you're creating a desktop application is called RocksDB. Something didn't quite work as expected, and I don't know where the issue quite lay, but effectively when you are editing a RocksDB database, it creates a little lock file, and for some reason it wasn't clearing that lock file when the application closed, which meant once you had opened the application once, you could never use the application again because the lock file wouldn't go away. So the next time the application tried to start, it was like, you can't do anything. I switched to libsql, which is a fork of SQLite. And that's working great, but I also think maybe I just have web developer brain because I'm not actually sure that that is the right tool for the job. If let me come back over here again and just show you. So basically I've got in my file structure, I've got just this database file, like a single database file. And I feel like maybe the better way to do this, because we're working on a computer, like on a single machine and not in a web infrastructure, actually maybe they should just be like JSON files or something like that. Something that's a bit more accessible, particularly if you need to change something or fix something in a way that I can't envisage right now. Like a libsql file is going to be a lot harder to change than being able to just change some JSON files. Okay. Let's see. So let's go over the database store again. Okay, so the way that it works at the moment is that I've actually got 3 different databases in. So I've mentioned Rocks, I've got libsql, I also have this one called Stub. Stub's kind of cool because it basically allows me to just store things in memory. Now, at the moment, I am doing a very bad job of writing unit tests for things like the UI. The whole idea of the Stub version of the database is that it allows me to put a completely in-memory version of the data store into my tests, but I test the exact same test on the Stub, Rocks, and libsql interfaces to make sure that they all work the same way, which means that I can test UI stuff without writing stuff to disk, which is great. But I think I want to get rid of these 2 and replace them with the JSON one. Now, I thought I'd just I have vague ideas about this. But but I kind of wanted to work through it on stream so that people could... Hi, Andrini, thank you very much. Can I like that from here? I cannot. I don't think. I do not know how to stream properly on... Oops, that's not even the right button. Oh well. Thank you, Andrini, anyway. Nice to see you on the stream. And it's good to know that chat works as well. Thank you for that. Okay, so where was I at? Yes, I thought I'd work through the way that this is going to work on stream, if that makes sense. Like talk through my process of thinking about how I think it should work. And I'm also going to just document it in maybe a README file on the storage package. And I think that will help me get my thoughts in line. Okay, so this is the storage package. I wonder, like, what are people's preferences when they write down their markdown files? I quite like using double equals for H1 and like a dash, not double equals, using equals for H1s to get that underline, and like hashes for H2s for to get the underlines. But then you still have to fall back to hashes for everything below that. But I think that it just reads a little bit easier if you have it open in a text only format. I don't know. They're the weird things I think about. So let's add in a little section on JSON. So this is going to store. This is going to writes JSON files to the disk. We have this stores structure. The way the stores structure works is here's the interface for it. It's a single place to get a company store, a role store, a flag store, which are the three stores that we have right now, or three things that we can store. And so we can see here like what the interface is. So they do not take any parameters. If you call this, it should just return a store automatically. But we can instantiate the stores before we do this. So if we look at like the libsql version, the libsql version has a struct with three properties on it. The implementation just returns what's stored at those properties. And over here, we actually have the connection being created to some location on disk with a path being passed in. And in fact, that happens in the desktop app in main, I think. Double check that. Yeah, so this is where the sort of the directory is created. And then we pass that into libsql stores here. And that's where that comes out into here. And that creates our three stores by connecting to a database. Like this creates the file, and then it creates the connection to that one database. So it's all the same place. I think we'll do something similar with the JSON store. Hi, Vincent. Oh, thanks very much. Really nice to see you. I don't know how much streaming I'm going to do. I'm currently enjoying it a lot, but we'll see how it goes. And I do not want to get in the way of the Iris series, but I'm enjoying these. I hope people find them useful, seeing my brain work or not work. Anyway, what we're going to do is create the... Let's see. We want to create a file. So I'm thinking two possible ways. We could create a... No worries. I also meant your regular video. Thank you very much. The new one will be soon, I hope. The script is written. It just needs filming and editing. We'll see how it goes. And the book chapter is already updated. Although I have spotted a mistake in it that I've got to fix, where I moved some chapters around and they reference each other. So now they reference each other in the wrong order, or like subsections even. So we'll create... We have this like com.fiosquest .job tracker like directory that we're storing things in. So at the moment that just contains like database.db. What I think I would like to do is maybe have a storage folder, and That's not enough spaces. In that, then we'll have like, what do we call them? Sorry, it literally says it right here somewhere. Company, flag, and role. I like singular. It may be not right. I don't know what other people feel like on this. Flag and role. And then inside of those, I'm thinking... let's put this as a... And it's not going to be Rust. I'll sort that out in a second. Oh, Shift, is it? Yeah. There we go. Get a bit of formatting on that. Drop the Rust. It's fine. So I'm thinking we've got like some UUIDs. So just UID format there. Let's do V4, yeah, V4 generator. Perfect. Just grab a random UUID. Generate. Oh, probably already had that at the top. Never mind. Come back over here. So this would literally just be... Oops. I am having the same problem again as last time, where I am terrible for looking at my keyboard and my microphone is covering up where my keyboard is, so I can't really see what I'm doing. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm thinking something like this. Now, the way that I would read this back into the store is to essentially just read the entire directory for company, the entire directory for flag, the entire directory for role, and just populate everything in memory. We're not going to create so much data that is going to be problematic, I don't think. And failing all else, if we really need to, we can always go back to using a proper database in the future. If lots of people are saying, like, I applied for 10,000 jobs and ran out of memory or something like that. Which is not feeling totally unrealistic at the moment. But I did think about the fact that this means that you won't necessarily know that this is like Amazon. So I did wonder, should I do like name hyphen or underscore with that? But the problem is that I do want you to be able to change the name later, because as we saw in my last stream, it's very easy to make a mistake, hit enter. So I do want to eventually get around to allowing you to change the name. The ID won't change though, so I think it's probably safe to do it that way. And worst comes to worst, most operating systems, I think, allow you to do searches within files in a particular directory. So if you have to, you can always search for like what contains like Amazon or whoever you're applying to. And for the most part, again, I might be over-optimizing this or overthinking this. I don't think most people will ever need to go into these files to mess around. It's just more, do I even have a good justification for doing this? It feels like, it just feels like the wrong tool, but I can't quite put my finger on why I feel that way. Like to use the libsql, for example. I might continue on with this. And the other thing is, I think that there's some useful sort of lessons or things that I can talk through here that people may not have seen before, or just curious about, like, how do you create JSON files in or JSON strings inside of Rust and things like that. So, and I think that's worth going through. It also allows me to talk about how to write to the file system asynchronously, because that's going to be important. So I'm going to do it. And if I decide that it was a waste of time, then it was a waste of time, but at least I'll have had fun on the stream with you guys. I think that's probably going to be all right. Okay, let's go for it. Let's go for it. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we will need a store to represent this. So I think the if I remember rightly, company, if we look at the stub company store, yeah, there's like there's no complex implementation for company, because company, the way the stores all work is that each of them is basically built up of a bunch of traits. So if I look at this is probably going to be the right place. Let's just double check. Yeah, so we've got this like import libsql store. So our libsql store is, where is that coming from? Create libsql store. Here. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, so that's okay. Yeah, so the libsql store here is it basically represents anything that could be stored in libsql. So the T here represents a company, a flag or a role. And then in this, you'll see that T has to implement the following traits. So get name, get ID, get deleted, set deleted. Those are all actually on all of the different types, and company doesn't have anything else, which is why there's like a blanket implementation for libsql company store without too much effort. Is that right? Or is it stub? Stub has the blanket one. This one has to actually do stuff. Wow, I just talked myself around in a big old circle, didn't I? Anyway, I still think this is probably the right place to start because it has the least stuff on it. So we're going to need some bits and bobs. We will need to get Serde and Serde Json. So these are two crates. Let's bring those up. Which is specifically to do with serialization. So Serde, and this is going to be another one that people call me out for pronouncing wrong after I got told off for calling vecdec, vecdq, and other things. But I'm going to stick with Serde for this. I don't think there is a correct pronunciation for this one. It's like Node daemon from the Node world. Anyway, this only cares about serialization. It doesn't care what you're serializing it to. And so there are a bunch of like implementing implementing crates that do all of the individual types that you might want to serialize in. So JSON is a different crate. It's Serde JSON. YAML is Serde YAML. There's a TOML one. There's all sorts. Oh, hang on. Did that say it was archived? Da, 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 da. Wonder why. No longer maintained, but it doesn't say. That's interesting. Doesn't say what replaces it. Does JSON still there? If it's not, I might not do this. Okay, no, it is. That's interesting. I am one of the probably the few people that really prefers YAML over JSON for a file format, but it's fine. It's fine. Okay, so we're going to need these things. Let's go grab them. So in our cargo.toml, we already have Serde. So we already have Serde because we have been serializing things into other database formats. I think we might have gotten this one specifically for RocksDB, or it might have been libsql. No idea. But we just need Serde JSON. IntelliJ is going to sort that out for us. Now the types that we have, because we were already using Serde, if we go into company, you'll see that we already implement Serde serialize and deserialize, which are the only things that we need to implement for turning this into JSON and back again, which is really handy. So now all we need to do is create a, what's the best way to do this? So we've got our crates here. Yeah, we'll do it in here somewhere. We've got. I think I'll just put it at the top because I'm going to change the ones underneath anyway. JSON files. So I'm not naming it after Serde because that's just an implementation detail. This is just going to be a JSON file store, maybe. So we'll implement that. We'll go back again just to do. I've been flattening out all of these modules, so hopefully it doesn't create. Yeah, I mean, it makes it easier to import things later, but it's probably not the most organized to just like blanket. Oh, actually, I haven't been doing. Not that it matters at all, but I guess it's Serde. Well, that would be Serde, wouldn't it? Serialize, deserialize. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the correct pronunciation is. I think that I've heard that there isn't one. I could be wrong. And I think that a lot of people just say it differently, which is fine. Yeah. It's like I was saying, it's like Node daemon, which is not, it's like there's a thing for running Node stuff, Node JavaScript, and it's NODEMON because it's Node and daemon jammed together, but it's not Node daemon because you'd lose one of the D's. So it's Nodemon or Nodemon, and the guy who, or the person who made it explicitly said there's no correct pronunciation. It's just very frustrating. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. So let's just go into this. That's not how we do that. We're going to create a struct for this. So it's going to be, oh, look, I haven't actually done this correctly either. Json company file store. I bet that then does not update this one. No, it did. Okay. Maybe it doesn't need the word file. And it certainly wouldn't need it at the end anyway. Json company store. Have I now broken this by playing with it too much? Nope, just misspelled struct. Okay, so I think for this, we're probably going to want a directory. That is my water timer going off, so I'm going to have some water. Try not to muck up again. Also, for the benefit of the people who back me on Patreon, I thought while I'm drinking my water, that's not the right button, I can do this. Okay, try not to interrupt myself too much. But I'm going to restart that timer. So yeah, I think it's going to be a directory entry. Now, the issue here is that we've got two options. We've got Tokyo. I think maybe we don't need to use... Okay, sorry, I am rambling again. We will need to access the file system. In the standard library for Rust, accessing the file system is blocking. That means that on a single process or on a single thread, if you try to access the file system, everything on that process will stop. Now, asynchronous code, is going to be a topic we'll cover in Iris in a couple of videos' time, hopefully. And what it does is it basically, it's a method inside of not just Rust, many programming languages do this, but you can sort of just pause a program where it's at and go and do some other stuff. Now, the way that it does it underneath is it effectively has a thing keeping track of what is currently running. And there are many different techniques for doing this. But anyway, we are currently using Tokyo inside of other things, so I think it kind of makes sense to use it here. I was going to use async stud, which is a different library to Tokyo. And initially came out of like the need to do exactly this, basically like reading a file is going to block, so awaiting it will allow you to continue on with other things. But if Tokyo does the same thing, then I guess we'll go and do that. Tokyo fs. Certainly looks like it's going to basically be exactly the same. So I don't think that should be an issue. Let's just give it a go and see where we get to. If we run into issues, we can try and fix them as we go. So we'll grab this one. I think this is going to be the right structure. It's basically going to allow us to read from and write to this directory, I believe. As you can see, we can read the files in here, and then we can turn those into file handlers or just read from the thing. So let's give that a go. Which means if we do an impl on this, we're obviously going to need... look, it's already guessing it for us. Very anxious about this because it's never used, that's fine. It needs to be a pub though. So it's going to be called from a different module. Tokyo, fail to resolve, unlink crate. So we're going to add... Let's add it in here, I guess. Dev dependencies, we already have it. So I think this should be okay to do this. We don't need very many features of Tokyo in order to access the file system, I think, but we should double check. Tokyo does a really good job of breaking down everything into different Oh, look at that. See, create feature, FS only. So Tokyo is a huge project with a ton of functionality and stuff inside of it. But they've done a really good job of using features to turn off anything that you're not currently using. That should be fine. I think that we probably just need to break this out like we've got the one below. There we go. Let's give it a go. And then let's have a think about this. We probably could just write a file to that directory, I think, with a private function. So when we come to implement the company store, is there a way of doing this more generically? If I do a JSON store instead of a JSON company store, I do have these ones here. And this implements a lot of other stuff as well. So this is probably the right way to do it. Okay, let's do that. Nope, that's the wrong button. We'll create that module. And then we'll move what we've been doing over here, over there. And if we go back over here, I think this is probably going to end up being something along the lines of like type JSON company store equals JSON store. So this is roughly what I'm thinking in terms of the structure. And we will rename this to going to have to add in some phantom data as well. So phantom data is used for basically storing the type information at runtime, or sort of encoding it. Not encoding it, that might be the wrong word as well. Again, I've actually done a lot of this, so why don't I just copy from what I had? So we've got these, for example. This is also going to be true over here. That's that's not true for this one. Let's grab this, add that in. And then we need our phantom data to basically just store the type. I can't remember exactly why this is, but yeah, something to do with it not knowing at runtime the exact type, if I remember rightly. So you add a phantom data and it sort of works out for you, maintains the type information so you can use it. And then to add phantom data, it's literally just that, which is kind of weird. There's no special information that goes into it. No idea how it works. I should probably look that up at some point. Okay, so this will do for that. I think we want a private function that writes the file. 891, I do not know what you've written and I cannot read it. When Johnny. Hi. Is that how you spell it? I have no idea. I'm terrible with languages and pronunciation, which I think you guys are probably going to find out over time. Okay, I know that one. And now I'm confused. You just made it up. Okay, perfect. So this is basically what I'm going to do here is use this function as a private function. Sorry, the chat is quite funny now. 891 says, you know how I work by now. He just made up the word. And Wonjian, I'm guessing. Again, I'm terrible with names and I apologize. I usually, when I know that I need to talk to someone, I'm nervous about saying their name. I usually look it up, but I'm not sure that on stream is necessarily the right way to do it. So if I'm mispronouncing your name, please do correct me. Thank you. We don't need this to be mutable. We will need a string though. So we'll call this file data. And I think just this is fine. How am I finding warp? I don't use it enough, actually. And when I do use it, I don't. I probably don't use it to its full extent. So, sorry, 891 in chat is asking, how do I find warp? Warp is a terminal tool. Like, it allows you access to your shell and things like that. It's extremely powerful. 891 says he gave up on it. Too much AI nonsense and bugging now. Yeah. I mean, a lot of companies gone heavy into AI stuff. I have my feelings on that. Actually, maybe now's a good time to ask about the channel. So Iris is coming to an end at some point. Now, I had actually intended to make it much larger than I'm currently going to make it. I wanted to get through a section of like, here are the absolute basics of the language. Here is a bunch of sort of patterns and things that you could use. But then I've also been like sneaking the patterns in. So we've already talked about things like the new type pattern and things like that. There are some really cool patterns in Rust, like the builder pattern that I really want to talk about, and I might do like a separate video on that, but it doesn't feel like it necessarily needs to be a part of Iris. And then I also kind of thought about doing a bit on the ecosystem and the most popular or most common crates that people are likely to use, such as Serde and Tokyo and Rayon and packages like that. If you actually go to the book, it lists out the full plan that I had, which I have been changing over time. If you've been paying a lot of attention, some of the chapter titles have changed and moved and disappeared and new ones have been added. But I think that I kind of want to have Iris end at the end of the language basics bit and then work out where I'm going from there. And there's a lot of stuff that I'd really like to cover that's maybe not just about Rust. So I've already, my most popular and most controversial video so far was the one I did on why I don't like mocking. And so I kind of think maybe I should do more of those kinds of videos as well. Like it would still be quite Rust focused, I think. But I do kind of want to do one on why I don't like leak code. I think I'm not sure if I want to do it or not, but I do kind of want to talk about politics in programming because I think it's a fascinating subject that a lot of people just get wrong, or don't think about in constructive ways. They get distracted by the word politics and don't really think about what it necessarily means. I don't like leak code. Skill issue, bro. I mean, it absolutely is. I am terrible at leak code. And I don't really make much secret of that. The thing that bugs me, I mean, I could literally do a whole video on this, but to keep it really short, the thing that really bugs me is, as someone who's been a software engineer, like professionally for 15 years now, I have never once had to reverse a binary tree. I've never had to make a string calculator. I have a whole section in the next video that's just dedicated to like FizzBuzz, and who is that even, like, as an interview tool, who is that for? What does it teach you? I've got a lot of opinions on it, so I am thinking about doing a video on that. And I've got other sort of more generic ones. I think the politics in Rust one, politics in programming sort of stems from the politics in Rust conversation, and people get very drawn into that, like, oh, I don't want to use Rust because of the politics, and I think we know what they mean by that. But maybe that's me being unfair or towards those sorts of people. But I think that there's a lot of sort of interesting information, and then maybe I'll just like carry on with the, like, rather than doing a series, carrying on with like here's a deep dive on Rayon and here's a deep dive on Serde and stuff like that. Maybe I'll do proc macro, which is not a part of idiomatic Rust in simple steps, and is certainly not simple, or even like it doesn't even look like idiomatic Rust. Honestly, it's kind of wild. But I think it's kind of an interesting subject. It's one of those ones that just feels awful to do, and it's an absolute slogfest to build something with proc macro. And then you get to the end, and you just feel very proud of yourself that you've just like written sort of a custom derived macro or an attribute or something like that just you tag stuff with, and it just kind of works. We'll see. I'm not sure yet. That's where my brain is at, so I thought I'd talk about it here. Anyway. I'm also really bad at advent of code, by the way. But if you what's his name? Chris Biscardi? There's a really good YouTuber who does I mean, I think that's fair. I like sorry, Vincent mentions he never pays attention to politics and code. He just enjoys it. Maybe old-fashioned. I think it's interesting to cover. Yeah, maybe. I feel like I would probably immediately lose half my audience, whichever half doesn't like whatever I have to say about it, which just makes me a bit nervous about doing it. Chris, what is his... Chris Biscardi, sorry. Chris Biscardi every year does an absolutely amazing thing on advent of code, and I always struggle with advent of code. There's a degree to which you're trying to like just work out what the algorithm you need to use is, though, and then just applying that algorithm, which also, again, it just feels like no one is doing this in their real career. But in this case, you're doing it for fun, and that does make a big difference, I think. But yeah, if you ever find yourself doing advent of code, Chris Biscardi's YouTube channel is excellent. He's also a stole, or I was using his channel to sort of like learn a little bit about how to do streaming and stuff as well. So he streams on Bevy, which is a game engine, which I'm really interested in learning, actually, and I really need to sit down and do it. And that was another thing I was kind of thinking I might cover in an extended Iris, is sort of if you are doing sort of embedded programming, if you're doing game development, if you're doing web development, like what are the tools that you need to know about, and what are the considerations you need to make with those tools. I am a web developer and have been for like 15 years, even if I call it fancy things like SaaS developer or whatever. So that's where my sort of skill set lies. Although I did do a master's in computer games technology as well as that has served me. So maybe that is something I'd like to get back to. Anyway, I've rambled on for long enough. So I need to write a file. So how do we do that from a directory entry? That is not looking like we can do it this way. So let's have a look. We want to fs write. So 891 says most of his code experience is actually not on the web at this point. Am I allowed to say how we know each other? I mean, you can put it in chat. That's probably the better way. But yeah, 891 and I go quite far back. Yeah, we used to work at a company called The Foundry. I think they might just be called The Foundry now. I think they dropped the Vision Mongers at the end. And they made tools for visual effects studios. 891 is my wife. The claim to fame that the Foundry had while I was working there is that the year that I was there, or the year that I left even, I believe every single film nominated for a special effects Oscar was made using the Foundry's tools. Not wholly, though, so I think that's probably worth clarifying. Like, some of it was just like the compositor and stuff like that, using other people's tools for like CGI and things, but still, it was a really awesome company to work for, but I was not doing visual effects stuff for them. I was doing web development stuff for them. And 891 was a designer working there and was very, very helpful, not just actually for getting design work done, but also just for getting me onboarded into the company and stuff. So yeah, we do go quite far back. That was a long time ago now. But yeah, 891 is a designer, not a software engineer, he likes to say, but also his software is very well written. We've done a few like game jams and stuff together, and he often outpaces me on some of that coding stuff. So anyway, I need to do, we have fs write, so we need the bytes. This is all fine. Why is this not, let's see how we get on with this. I think it's probably going to be something along the lines of, yeah, so this accepts a path. So our path is actually going to be created from the directory and the ID. So that's probably not going to work. Let's have a think. So if at this point, if in the JSON store, we'll have multiple ones of them, but what we'll do is we'll pass in the directory to where it's storing stuff. So the company one will be in like /company, the flag one /flag. What we need is the ID. So I think maybe what we can do is add in that these need to be serialize, and deserialize. It's not quite what I want, deserialize. Doesn't like that. Have a think about that in a moment. At the moment, we're just concerned with serialize. Right. Oh, I see why it wants the lifetime specifier. Okay, so let me talk through that one as well. So Serde can do this incredibly cool thing where you can take a string that might sit in memory. Like you might have a on heap string, capital S, and you can turn that into a struct using lifetime parameters to point back at the original string, meaning you don't have to do any further heap allocations, even if the struct itself contains a bunch of string data, because you can use string slices with lifetime parameters pointing back to the original string data to represent all of it, which is really, really cool. But it does mean I don't know what to do here, because I'm immediately going to clone everything. Let's just very quickly have a look at the documentation. Lifetime. The D lifetime of this trait is the lifetime of data that may be borrowed by self when deserialized. See this page for a more detailed explanation. That is now popped up nowhere where I want it, so let's just copy that URL and popped up over my chat. So here is the lifetime deserializer. So this is the thing. So this is what I was saying about how this user, the string data here, the string slices can point back to the original thing that was being deserialized from. So if you have some string data, it would already contain name, screen name, and location in that. And so this would just point back to that original data without doing any more allocations, which is very cool. However, I think what we probably want is this. Can be deserialized from any lifetime. Perfect. Okay. So anyone who was paying attention there, where I just kind of ignored the AI one-liner because I like regularly ignore the AI one-liner that was telling me what to do, it did in fact tell me to use that trait, which is kind of funny. Okay, you win, AI. Guessing that's not. Yeah, okay, fine. A bit frustrating. Let's just oh, now it's upset about this. I think because we haven't included it, maybe, or because I haven't finished writing code further down. That's probably also true. Okay, both things are true. So in that case, we probably want write file, and then we can do data of type T. So T is now going to be the thing that is being stored. So we can now create the path. It's going to be a path or path buff. I can never remember the difference. You can tell I'm a web developer, can't you? I'm still learning Rust and have to shut off those auto completions as it obviously knows all the assignments. So I actually find, I mean, at least with IntelliJ, I find it's wrong about 60% of the time, which is why I've gotten into the habit of just kind of ignoring it. I know a lot of people really love like coding using AI as an assist, and some people really love vibe coding. I don't feel comfortable enough with it because, and particularly with Rust, when I started trying out AI for Rust, it was just getting stuff extremely wrong. So can I show it off? Probably. Let's do GitHub. None of this. No, thank you. This is going to be one that 891 recognizes, I think. Oops, that's incorrect. Projects, I think. Nope. Repositories. So masscfg Atra is a. This actually is one of those. Oh, indeed. Sorry, Vincent says, oh, indeed. I always look up whatever it may suggest. I treat it more like a rubber ducky. I think that's the right way to go about it. Like, it can be really good for getting the ideas flowing in particular, although not the free one on IntelliJ, because it literally only does one-line completions. I suppose I could. Well, I mean, I'm unemployed at the moment, so I'm not going to pay them for the full suite. I could run a local. I think there were ways of doing that. But also it's just like a lot of energy. I think there was there a story recently about how OpenAI were talking about their AI was now like solving most of their GitHub issues in their benchmarking thing. There's like 8 issues that they have open in a benchmarking thing that they point the AI at, and someone worked out that basically like it said it solved 6 of them. 2 of them it had solved. 2 of them the answer was in the issue, so all it had to do was look at the issue and write exactly what was in the issue into the code. And 2 of them it was wrong at, and the tests had passed because the tests were bad, but OpenAI had still included them in their benchmarking. Now, I'm recounting this from memory. Please bear in mind that what I just said might have all been wrong. But I think they came away and said like it ended up costing like $450 to solve. Well, to run against 8 issues, to solve 4 of them. 2 of them had already been solved, and then the other 2 it had solved incorrectly, but they passed the test and would, get merged, which is quite concerning as well. So I think, being really cautious towards, that was my feeling as well. Yikes. Being really cautious towards what the AI is telling you is going to be really important. One time when I used it, myself, sort of like the full, what's the Microsoft one? Copilot experience, was back when I was working at a recruitment software as a service. I was pairing with someone else who had it installed on their machine. And we're working through a problem together. And I started writing out some code, and it wrote out the exact function we were after. It was exactly right, but it was using an older style of JavaScript, sort of, maybe not an older style, not my preferred style, where you write out like function space, function name, and so forth. I prefer using closures now that they're a bit more sort of fixed. Particularly in this case, actually, because it was going to be a file that actually gets run. So we wanted an automatically called async closure, which it's a bit of a weird syntax. But I was like, okay, so the function's right, but that's not the style we use here. So I started writing out in the other style. It immediately came up, and I was like, great. And then I moved on, and I was like, a few minutes later, I was just like, I did not check that at all. Now, it was right, but it made me think that even myself, as a sort of someone who's much more sort of cautious around AI, I was a bit like, I'm a bit worried that a lot of people are very excited about this technology and probably not really thinking too much about it. I think maybe my AI knowledge is quite out of date at this point. Like, there was a study in 2022. When did GPT-3 come out? Might have been 2022. And although so basically what the study showed was, although no one knew exactly who was using ChatGPT to write their code or not, what they found was the code, pull requests on GitHub actually went up markedly. Which sort of suggested that maybe people were being more productive using AI. But they also noticed that those commits also contained a lot of like changes, not just like additions or deletions, but like actual code getting changed, which kind of suggested maybe people were using it to create a lot more code, but it was creating wrong code, so they'd have to go back and fix it more often. I'm really curious as to like how much more productive it makes people. I feel like there's too much excitement around it to really know at the moment. Like, a lot of people are very excited. I'm very cautious personally. I know a lot of other people are as well. We'll see in the long run. I do have a feeling that like the LLMs are probably not the right tool and that they might have peaked, but we'll see. Vincent says, oh yeah, big thing with curl recently, bug bounty being flooded by AI slop, as the developer calls it. Not just curl. This is happening on a lot of packages and a lot of like open source projects, but it's also happening in the recruitment world. I know someone who works for the government, and a few years ago when they'd open up jobs, they'd get like 7 applicants, and today for basically the same job they get like 2,000. Now the economy has changed. A lot more people are currently out of work than usual, and that obviously has an impact. But this person was saying that basically a lot of the applications they're seeing are very obviously written by AI, and this is something other people have been talking about as well, just seeing like even stuff that still includes like but I am an AI model and cannot answer this particular question, sort of messages at the bottom, so people aren't even reading them, which really makes it hard for the people, again, not just me, but everyone who is looking for a job right now. It makes it much harder to even get noticed when there is so much sort of not noise in the background now. But that's where we are. It's the same across the board. It's not even just, PRs and job submissions. Like, you're also seeing it with sort of images and articles on the web, and it's made it so easy for people to make those fake sort of, you should buy the latest and greatest camera, but you realize that all the cameras came out like 5 years ago. Because someone's just like re-uploading the same article every year. Best cameras are 2025, and not one of them was released in the last 3 years, sort of thing. Anyway, sorry, I'm going around in circles. I can't remember why I brought up Mass CFG Atra. I've gotten myself so distracted. This was a proc macro that I wrote for a really specific purpose when using a Godot Rust library. It's not your fault, Vincent, don't worry. I am very easily distracted, and I was really enjoying chatting about that and just saying my bit. Maybe that's one of the things that I like about streaming, is in very one way, like, you guys sort of put prompts up for me and I just rant on for ages. I need to get myself a bit more under control. Okay, let's just go back to what we were doing. We wanted to understand whether we wanted to use path or path buff. There we go. Path is mutable. Own version of path is path buff. Okay, immutable. Oh yeah, so this is basically the difference between a string slice and a string, I think. So in that case, we want path buff because we want to create a couple of steps in it. So let's see. We would like. Can we turn self dot? No, it's over here anyway. Self dot directory dot. So there we go. Path. Dot. I would like to push, I think. And then this is going to be, so we know, okay, going back to this is why I did this. T here could be any of company or role or flag. But I've got like a get ID here. So that's a trait that is implemented for all of those, which allows me to get the ID. I know is probably over-engineered, but in this case, it's going to come in handy. So now that gives us, let's double check how this works. So, so if we do file.bk here, okay. So we'll want to be a bit more clever about this because we're going to need the suffix as well, which is going to be JSON. So to do that, I'm going to be a little bit naughty and use format. Not sure if there's a smarter way of doing this. But this will create a string on the heap, which is why I'm not 100% sure this is necessarily the best way of doing it. Well, that should give us our directory. There's part of me that just wants to write a little test for that. I'm not 100% sure that's going to be worth it. What we could do, though, is... Yeah, why not? Like, get directory. Or maybe create file name. And again, it's basically going to be the same two parameters. This is actually going to return a path buff. Oops. And we'll just move this in here. And that means that I can write a test for this specific thing. Get rid of that. Why? Oh, okay, so that's a good starter. I think we can introduce it. So basically, I think push is not returning something, so we can just do that, that, and this. Needs to be mutable. Okay, so that should work. So let's just comment this out, or do a to-do. We are probably almost certainly going to want a result on this, so I'm just going to do that as well before I forget. Anything that can fail should return a result, even if the result doesn't actually contain anything, which it's not going to in this time. Don't know what the error is going to be. It's probably not that. Just see what this returns. An IO result, with IO being... See, I'm getting myself into... getting myself neck deep again. What I'll do is I'm going to create an enum of errors. Then we'll do a IO error. And I think it's actually not going to be this. I think it's probably going to be Tokyo IO error, because we're using Tokyo to write to the file system, so it probably uses its own errors. That's fine. We will need to import display for errors. This is all fine. And then f.write? No, write f. There we go. That's fine. That'll do. Stud format debug. Yeah, that's fine. So the one thing you have to implement for errors is derive. You have to implement debug. You have to implement display. And you have to implement error. The weird one about error is that it's literally just... isn't it? Yeah, it's literally just this. I don't know why that's not a custom derive. I'm sure they could do a custom derive where it tells you forgotten to implement display. Thoughts on using the anyhow crate for error bubbling up? 100% I should be using anyhow and this error. I think that you work together really nicely. And I should, you know what, let's add it to the list of things to do. So yeah, Bonjian mentioned that there is a crate called anyhow, which is another one that I would have probably come onto on, did I add it to Theo's quest? Theo's quest, sorry, to the Diamatic. Oh wait, why not just do this way, Daniel? There we go. Did I have it in my ecosystem thing? Error handling with this error and anyhow, there you go. So yeah, I had certainly considered it. I haven't gotten around to doing it on this, and I'm probably getting too deep in to go backwards. This change, though, should remove more code than it adds, so I'm going to keep going for the moment, and we'll add it to here. So use anyhow and or this error. So if I remember rightly, this error is for creating the error structs and anyhow is for handling them. I can't remember exactly though, because it's been a little while. Just create it for now. Bring that to the top because it's quite an important one. And we ought to get to it after these three are done, when the code is in a bit cleaner of a place. But yes, thank you for that suggestion. I think that's a really positive one. That should be enough for this. So now I can return there's one more thing. So this is where one of those, can't remember which one, comes in really handy, which is that I need to do an import from Tokyo I error for errors. This is literally going to write itself because it's just that simple. So that was the AI working quite nicely for me. Which means that that question mark will now work if I use errors here. If I bring this back out again, we should be in a better place. Oops. I mean, I could finish writing this as well. Why is that not working? Oh, it's because of the to-do. Okay. Oh, look at this. Oh, it's just trying to show off now, the AI in the background. It's just like, I wasn't impressed with us earlier. There we go. And that needs to be async. That probably won't work. Okay, so another thing that's worth mentioning is that right now async doesn't work with generics very well. It has improved more recently, but I'm still running into issues with it. So you'll find on my generics, not these ones, Daniel. Not these ones either. It'll be... Where would I have used it? That's still wrong. Gosh. Here, this async trait attribute. The way this works is it will box everything. Boxing is taking any value and putting it onto the heap. And so this is not free. This requires that the object that you're basing this on is added to the heap. Sorry, I'm gonna have another quick drink. I'm gonna very quickly put my little... Okay. I don't know if Dimitri's even on today, but I felt like I ought to be adding in the Patreons to the stream as well, because I forgot last time. What was I saying? Yes, async trait allows us to box things. This allows us to get around the weird lifetime issues that exist with async traits on the stack, which gets like out of hand complicated. And this has been sort of like the way to sort of do it if you don't really care too much. We're not creating that many of these stores, so I think it's fine. But it is worth bearing in mind if you're going to create literally like 1,000 objects that are async, based on async traits, because then you will be creating those all on the heap. And every time you do it, it's going to request memory from the operating system. It's not really a memory issue in terms of like the amount of memory you're using, but it is going to be a blocking issue because every time you ask for memory from the operating system, you have to wait for the operating system to get back to you. Anyway, back to not you. Have I renamed that yet? I have. Well, that's there we go. Okay. Oh, let's make that pretty. So, contents as bytes is not correct. It's going to be... so yeah, that was what we had earlier. It's going to be... I know I've gone back a bit. I've gone backwards a bit because I started working on this when I was working on the other thing. Serde Json. I think there is a macro that can take anything that's serializable and turn it into a string. That's the other way around. That's still the other way around. It's this one. I think we can do it 2 bytes, hopefully. Let's see. So that should be fine. I don't want to create a string though. How do we just get... I'm assuming this is going to be sad because it is... This function takes 2 arguments, but 1 was supplied. Is that just out of date? as ref of U8s. So we can't do that with this. Was there another thing in the documentation that told us how to do it? Oh, right. Okay. So this might have to be, yeah, this might have to be two-stringed actually. So this is the thing that's being created out of this is a JSON object that allows us to access things in this way. So we'll need to turn it into an actual file somehow. Sorry, into actual data. So it's going to be like toString dot as bytes is going to be the correct, or not. There we go. Okay. I think I can do tmod tfn test directory file name test create file name. Great. And then we just want to create, so we're gonna have to create a new what are these with a directory. So let's do base equal I don't know that that's going to be correct as a path buff, because we actually want a directory entry. Should I just use a path buff? It's already underneath. I have to clone the path buff. Let's just keep going with directory entry. Have a look at the documentation for it. Oh, it's what we get back from reading a directory. So this is the wrong thing. I probably do want a path buff. Okay, that's cool. Do base path buff. So I do want this to own where it's located. That obviously makes no sense. Daniel, what are you doing? However, this is probably going to muck up this. That's fine. You. Oop. Okay, it's just being slow. That's fine. Okay, base path dot. I think this wants to be a clone because we want to get a new. We don't want to change the underlying version. We want to get a new one. Not that it would let us because we haven't made we haven't made self mutable, so that should be fine. Then we've got JSON data. So what's wrong with you? Borrow of value after move. That is true. I think this is fine. I think we just take references to all of this. Don't know why I decided it should own it. There we go. Okay, so that means this now becomes our base path. We can do let's store equal, not that one, JSON store company. Oops. You see how, I mean, like it's just very slightly wrong because I do not need to clone it, so I have to go back and fix it. But to be fair, it has been very good tonight, so maybe I need to bear that in mind. Okay, then we're going to create a random company. So is that a, yeah, I think it needs a name, right? Command P, yeah, name string, test company, toString. Y, nope, okay, cool. And then we can do store dot create file name. Yeah, this is what we want. So this is this is a private function. It's not going to show up outside of this module, but inside of the module we have the test. So we can call the private thing in here and test the actual result. So this should give us a interesting that can't fail. We'll see how it goes. Let file name equal that. And then we need to test that it contains the the right pattern. But the thing is, it's always going to generate a random name. So what methods do we have on this? That's a cool aspect. Always learned private functions can't be tested. Yeah, in other languages they can't, or you can get around it sometimes, but in Rust you can, so long as the test is part of the same module. You won't be able to do doc tests with private methods though, but doc tests should really only be testing your public API anyway. I love doc tests, by the way. They're just the best way of I mean, you write documentation that literally cannot be wrong, because when you say it works like this, Rust goes around in the background and just goes like, let's just check that that's true. Yeah, Rust doc tests are incredible. I don't think they were the first people to come up with it, but it's the only programming language I know of that has it as a core feature, like part of the actual like core suite of tools. I think Python might have had it earlier. I don't know who came up with it. It's really, really good. I am going to do something really stupid, which is I'm just going to debug file name right here to see what's in it so that I can write a test that makes sense in a minute. I know this isn't good. Don't judge me too hard. Let's see what we're going to run in the test, because this is a workspace project, so there's actually quite a lot of different things that could be getting tested under here. Let's just have a look at the configurations while that's going underneath. Looks like this is going to test everything. That's fine. Yeah, that's fair. Forgot a semicolon. Classic. Now all the Python devs are going to laugh at me. We don't care that those aren't being used yet. That's okay. What we do care about is this test here. I have to step out a few times, do I? Oh, am I not able to see? Should be near the end. No output at all. That's interesting. Okay, why? Let's just do, okay, let's cancel this for a minute because we're not really using it. We'll do, can we CD into storage? Cargo test from here, see what happens. The old Rust compile times. I mean, I'm asking it to do a lot. I also think, by the way, sorry, there is another really good reason for doing this, which is that at the moment, things like RocksDB and libsql, I think they might be causing problems with my build pipeline and running this on my Windows machine. So I do a lot of my coding on Mac, almost all of it. However, I use my Windows machine for making Iris part. Like the original intention was that if I need to go on to VS Code and show things off VS Code, and Windows are what most people are using, so I should probably try and do that, even though I use Rust Rover and Mac. But I currently can't build the job tracker on my Windows machine. It does build in GitHub Actions, so I think it might just be like libsql's like devlib is missing from my machine, which is easy to fix. It currently does not build for Linux at all, and I haven't even tried building this on anything else yet. We still don't get any output. What am I missing here? Oh, I know what I can do. I know what I can do, and it's very silly. I think everyone's probably just going to be judging me for how silly this some of this is going to be. Let's just do like that will fail, and that will give us the comparison. Right, there we go. So aha, okay, this is working how I want it to. Is it? No, I would say first of all it needs to contain the company. No, I can't, because it's a generic, so I can't do that. So I think this is fine. This is working how we expect it to. So let's look at, again, I still need to test it like in a bit more detail than that. So I think I saw, we don't want that. We want components, I think. Does this return an iterator? No. Let's just have a look. So I'm thinking if we can iterate over the parts of the path, we can check each one separately. Actually, let's just go straight back to path buff rust. We want to see, like, you know, each directory separately. I mean, you can create it from a iterator. I hadn't thought about that, actually. Should I add that to the... Nah, I've already got one for string, I think. I'm going to leave that. Sorry, I'm thinking about the next Iris video. So what I want is, and this is probably the easiest way to look at it. Most likely, so path buff gives you additional additional methods over the top of path and derefs to path. So in the same way that string derefs to string slice, so you get all of the methods from string slice on string, but string also allows you to modify it. Whereas again, like path, you cannot modify, but path buff you can. Yeah, look, iter. So here we can get the parts that we care about. So we've got, oh, this is perfect. So we get the main separator here, and then after, so that's just going to be like, it's going to be the root, and then it looks like we get the different bits. So what we can do is, I think it's probably most sensible. Yeah, it's probably the most sensible thing to do basically exactly this, right? I think it probably is. Okay. Most sensible against stuff that is in your head, Daniel, and you're on stream trying to explain to people what you're doing, so you maybe explain what you had in your head. I was thinking, like, is this should I just test that the beginning and end are right? But I actually think that I want to be very specific and make sure the entire path is exactly as I expect it to be. That was where my head is at. So we want to do let iter, or let's do let iter equal file name dot iter. And again, the AI was ahead of me. Oh my god, I can't find the tab key. It's going to need to be mutable, because iterators always need to be mutable. See my next video for that. Then we will do assert eq. Oh, this is going to be the bit that I just copied, right? Oops. Oh no. Iter. And then this, we won't know what is in there. So we want to do, this is going to be an OS string. So OS strut is another type. A while back at the London Rust user group meetup, someone did a talk on why are the two types of string in Rust, which was about string and string slice. It was really good. And then they got to the end and asked any other questions. And the first question that someone asked is, what about all the other kinds of string? And they had another slide immediately after their deck to go into that, because they were just prepared for that as an answer, as a thing. What I want to do here, so this was our file name. Why is that being weird? I haven't into itered it. Did I misread this? Oh, where's path coming from? Oh, path the module? Yeah, it's importing self. Got it. we can probably just import this then. It's only going to be imported at this level, so I think that's probably okay. And then the first one's going to be temp, and then this is going to be something.json. So rather than this, I want to do... okay, we're in a test, so I think it's probably okay to unwrap on this. So that will unwrap the option we are getting back from the iterator to get inside of the thing. And then I want to do... I actually don't want any of this. What I want is cert dot... Okay, so now we can do to ASCII lowercase dot... I want to check the last 5 characters of the string to make sure that they are .json. That's basically it. I mean, I could regex test it. I was thinking about this earlier today. What is the best way of testing it? A go-to, again, web developer brain and a lot of JavaScript and TypeScript and PHP in my background. I would normally use a regex, but Rust has more powerful tools than regex. Regex isn't even built into the language. You would have to import a library anyway. And if we're going to import a library, why not import a better library? So we could use nom, which is a parser. It's much more powerful for everything, but maybe isn't the right choice here, especially since we'd have to write the parser and then test the parser. No, I don't want to do that. So what we probably want to do, I mean, let's just Google it, right? Let's just Google test string matches pattern Rust, and I bet it's immediately going to say there's not going to be pattern syntax. That's not going to be that's pattern matching in Rust, which is slightly different. How to match against string literals. Or gosh, I could turn the string into the OS string into a list of characters and test the characters. That's overkill, right? That's way overkill. Especially since maybe the name of the file we might change it in the future, in which case I'm writing a Bristol test. So really all I need to know is that the end of the string has .json on the end. So Rust test string ends with. Perfect. Stack Overflow. I'm human. Okay, but that's on Str, not OS Str. So I guess... Wait, but I've just turned it into that. Let's get rid of this for a second. Dot. Am I going slightly mad? This is going to turn it into an OS string. Oh, okay. So it's probably not what we want as the to str dot unwrap. Here we go. Dot ends with. There we go. There we go. AI is still being wrong, so let's just ignore that. There we go. Got there in the end. And then that should be the end of the iterator. So I think we can drop this, and now our test should pass. We check that it's basically the right format. I think it's going to be okay. There we go. Okay. Gosh, I've been doing the stream for an hour and a half, and I've written one test and one function. I think getting all of this done tonight is going to be a bit optimistic, but we'll keep going on, and hopefully at least the process is useful to someone. Which reminds me, so I thought maybe this time I'd add some like polls and stuff to get people like talking about, I want to hear back from you guys about stuff. So I've got a poll queued up. Thank you, Vincent. That's very kind. I feel like my process is just pure chaos. That's the only concern. Okay, I'm going to put this poll hopefully in the chat. There we go. So I'm interested because, again, as a web developer, I've been using Rust for myself since 2017. I've written exactly one professional project in Rust, and I would describe it as a mistake. Actually, that could be an interesting video as well. I could go into a deep dive on that. I might have to check with the company that I wrote that project for before I do that. But it is an interesting thing. It's not to do with Rust being a bad language. It's to do with it's to do with engineering at a much higher level of like thinking about people, which at the end of the day is what we as engineers should be doing. So I don't know. That's maybe another one I could cover. Right. We have these functions. We are now reasonably confident that that is going to write to the right place. I would love to. I mean, that's what I'm working on right now. So Vincent says, hope to, like many, sell a Rust app sometime. But yeah, Java for work. I'm so sorry, man. I know. I'm just ribbing, like, software engineers were always teasing each other about languages, although sometimes I think it gets a bit overly personal. Java is definitely not a language for me, and I know a lot of people really love it, and that's absolutely fine. That doesn't, just me not liking it is not a reason that you shouldn't like it. You should like whatever you like. The reason I don't like it is extremely personal. It's basically when I went to university on my undergraduate course, the first programming language they tried to teach us was Java. And for those who don't know Java, one of its interesting features is that everything inside of it is an object. Is a class. This also is why you can run into issues with the fact that, like, for example, like, again, sorry, I'm not trying to rib Java too hard, but it's one of a couple of languages where a Boolean can have more than two values. The worst example of that, I think, is VBA, Visual Basic for Applications. I think a Boolean can be yes, no, or maybe, which is the absolute worst possible case. In Java, it can be true, false, or null if you're not using a scalar Boolean. But the actual reason that I struggled with it was because I hadn't done any programming really before that. And so you have to learn sort of like the absolute basics of what types are, what variables are, what functions are, and then also like how classes and objects are related to each other. Because before you can even write a single program, you have to create a class that will be your main class and your starting point for your program. I was so frustrated with it. I taught myself C++, but by learning C++, I then understood Java. So there's nothing wrong with it as a language. It's just that it annoyed me when I was an undergrad. And that's literally it. Such a terrible reason. Anyway, I mean, I come from a PHP background, and a lot of people hate that as well. So I totally understand I want to tread very carefully when I slightly mock other people's languages of choice. Yeah, I do like OO languages, but Java is just there because it's used at work. Seems many learn it because of that. Rust is for me to feel a bit sane in the evening. Yeah, I know that feeling as well. I think writing in Rust helps. I think the structure of Rust really gels with me. And so it's definitely my happy place when I'm writing code. It probably isn't even necessarily like my most productive language. Like I can write TypeScript pretty quickly. Says I feel that too. It just is very structured. It holds your hand. And I think this is one of the things, people butt up against the language quite early on because the compiler will just tell you you're wrong for doing things you can totally get away with in other languages, particularly when it comes to things like passing references around. The compiler is very good at spotting like you may have done something that you didn't mean to do, which is where lifetimes come into play. And actually, sorry, this is going off on another massive tangent, but lifetimes are not as bad as I think they appear. And they're very scary, but I do have, for like literally like the last 4 months or something, I've been working on a YouTube short, like a 4 months working on a 60-second video to explain lifetimes, which I really ought to get back on. I think I just made the animation too complex. That's another story. Rust holds your hand, and I think that it's the exact same thing that people initially bounce off that ends up being like one of the big selling points for the language. You know, it's going to prevent you from making a lot of mistakes, not all mistakes. I had a recent discussion with someone who was like, oh, you know, if it compiles, it works. And I'm like, I have made some excellent bugs in Rust that work at runtime. Like I wrote a CSV to JSON. Was it CSV? Yeah, CSV to JSON like program that just you put a CSV in, you get JSON out. And the bit that dealt with booleans would allow you to put, like have true, false, yes, no, 1, 0. And would work out from that what you whether it was true or false, and it always returned the exact wrong answer. Like it was literally I just got the like true and false confused somehow. So yeah, you can definitely still make mistakes, but it stops you from making a lot of mistakes, and you don't have to worry as much about it really reduces the amount of runtime errors you can make, so you can feel a lot more confident. Although again, in the next video I do have some runtime errors intentionally that I'm showing off that the compiler cannot catch, and so you just have to be a little bit careful. I think there was some in the last one as well, collections, like you can access some collections with square brackets, but there may not be anything at that point which will cause a panic. So if you try to access the 5th element of a 3-element vector, then like it will crash at runtime. And it can't get it with it can get it with an array. It can spot that mistake with an array because that's always sized exactly, but with a vector it can't because it doesn't know. Anyway, where are we going with this? I think we're ready to move on to making the actual JSON store for company. So if I go back to here, it's not going to be this. It's going to be have I made a terrible mistake here? Let me just check. I think I probably have. No. Perfect. Okay. So our underlying type is literally just, so here where we've got our libsql stuff, our underlying type is a type alias for libsql store with the generic type being company. And we can do that same thing here. And then we implement the trait store company on top. And that should get us where we want to go. Now, one issue that we probably are going to run into is we need to actually be able to read from the collection. I'm going to do something extremely silly. So if we go back to JSON store, so at the moment we have this like we have this base path that points to somewhere on the file system, but we haven't actually read any of the data that's there yet, but we're going to want to. So my thinking is, what if when we create this, in addition to storing the base path, what if we also stored all of the data that's currently located at the base path? And how would we do that? Well, as it happens, I already created a store for storing things in memory that is already implemented for things like the company store and stuff like that. So what we'll do is we'll add a field on here called memory store. We will pass in store t here. I think that should be okay. Must include dyn because that is a struct, not a type. That's actually fine. So what instead of using maybe the stub store directly, oh, hang on a minute. Wait, maybe I'm incorrect here. Maybe it just needs to be. Yeah, interesting. I have a slightly better idea. What if we added an additional generic? So in this case, S will be our store, and then this can just be store T. So this has to be something that represents a store of T, and then we can do S, I think, just here. And instead of calling it memory store, we'll call it internal store, or backing store. Maybe backing store is the right way to go. So now it's not really the backing store, it's like the front end store. I am overthinking this again. Let's go back to internal store. Oops. Okay, and then this also needs to be copied across here. I quite like this, I think. This needs to be TS, JSON store TS. Okay, so we haven't actually gotten onto any of the actual implementation details just yet. This is missing the backing store. So in this case, we can actually do this now. Sorry, not, what did I call it? Internal store. Internal store is going to be a stub store. This won't work. Stub store of T. Will it? I think it won't work because I actually need to create a new stub store of the specific type. I think basically I'm just going to have to implement this for each one. So what I want to do is this internal store is going to point to one of my stub stores. I've got 3 of them already, one for each of company role and flag. However, each one is very slightly different. So role store has different methods, very slightly different methods on it. You can see that stub store implements stub store for role. So stub store itself already implements most methods that we would need, if I remember rightly. I'm not sure where. Here we go. No, we don't. Where did I do it? Impl. I would have thought there was an impl stub store somewhere. Impl store for stub store. Impl store. Interesting. Am I going crazy? Why? Okay, let's just go look at the here. Okay, this is already set up. So where is the code? Oh, I bet I've done something stupid like put it in here. Oh my word, I'm gaslighting myself. While I'm here, I'm just gonna quickly do this. Pub use JSON store JSON. I haven't made it public. That's probably why that's not coming up. Any store. Okay, I've hit a point where I'm overthinking things again. I haven't been drinking as I go along. Another mistake, right? Hang on, another drink break. I'll be right back. There we go. Okay, back again. Right. So I've got this generic type for my JSON store. I'm going to want to implement this generic type for each type T. The backing store actually doesn't matter. I can implement it at a later date, but I want to store it internally. So if I've got this generic type, it has to be stored internally. Maybe, no, I don't want dyn because I'm pretty sure that's going to have memory implications. It's actually okay with this. But the main problem here is that say I use a stub role store, I'll lose that one extra function because stub role store implements more stuff than stub store role. So stub store role, wherever this is gone, this is very weird. Okay, I have to work this out. I have obviously gone wrong somewhere. So here is the base of the thing. Our store type is here. So we've got our store trait that tells us how a store at the bare minimum needs to work. We've got some storage errors, which we will fix later because you can see there's like surreal error, libs equal error in here. Oh, that's probably where I should put the JSON error. Come back to that in a minute. All of the stuff stores basically just store a vector of the type that is being stored. It literally just puts it into the vector. These are the tests, which I'm almost certain, yeah, there's nothing after that. It's right here. How did I miss this? And that's why I didn't show up in the search, because the generic. My word. Okay. Let's see. Can't even remember why I came here now. So this is how this is stored. We know that it needs to be of a particular type. Oh, no, I think it will work, actually. If we do use a generic, we can tell it specifically what kind of stuff store we're using. So if I go back to here, I think this does need to be JS. And then S is actually going to be S of stub store T. Oh, I think it will still be okay because we can say that S, the type of S is going to be this other thing. But the problem is we can't then write new because we don't know what the type is going to be for the generic because it's going to be specific to each separate implementation. Now we could create a private version of this. I don't think it's worthwhile. I think I'm just going to, but then I can't test the function without this. Okay. How about we just make this a variable? Or parameter even. Internal store this. That should be okay. Don't need that. Great. Okay. I think this will work. So now this will not work over here, but that's okay because we can just literally do stub company store. I hope people are following this. I know that it's a little bit silly. So the stub company store itself, type annotations needed. Why? Most certainly shouldn't. Most certainly shouldn't require type annotations. Oops. Cannot infer the type for parameter S. Says it right there. Create file name T. Oh, maybe I don't know how generics work as much as I thought I did. Import satisfying store company store. No, required by bound. JSON store TS. But we have specified the type. So I assume this is going to give me the same error. Yeah. We've specified the type enough that it knows what it is at this point. I'm a bit stuck on this one. Oh. Oh. Phantom data. Phantom data. Phantom. Item and phantom store. I think this is probably to be the right way to do it. Yeah, still not right. Yeah, that makes sense. Stub company store. Oh, did I maybe not need the phantoms? Let's have a look. We'll just go back, assuming this works. Which it does. Do I need these at all? Maybe I don't. Oh, I do. Okay, cool. Let's have a look at why though. I am curious. Yeah, so it needs to remember the type information. So that's why, even though when we specified down here, you can see that like the IDE at this point knows that store is of type JSON store company stub company store. However, when we came to here, it didn't know what the type of stub company store was, but it wasn't complaining about the type of company. We knew what that was going to be. Now, there is the argument that it knew that because this is a generic function that takes type T. I'm pointing at the screen that you can't see. Last line of the pop-up that just popped up, fn create file name, data is of type T. So it knew what the type was at this point, but we're not specifying store at this point. So that's why the phantom data is required, so that inside of the struct, in some way, there is something that holds onto that type, so that when we get to create file name, even though we're not using S at that point, S is still in some form encapsulated in the state. Again, I don't really know how phantom data works or why we need it, but it sort of goes as to why not having it caused that problem. But I don't know why that problem exists in the first place. So it's fine. So that should go back to being correct. We don't need this because I've already written this type out. So this is actually JSON company store. So I can probably, no, that's all fine. So that gets rid of the type information because this is the type alias for the same thing that I just wrote out. So now we need to go to JSON company store, and now we need to do the implementation. So if we look at stub company store, oh my goodness. I'm right back where I was, aren't I? I have forgotten where the implementation details were. Okay. This time I know to look for impl t store this. Oh, no. Sorry, it was this one that I wanted. Where are you? In stub. Of course you are. That's exactly. Oh, okay. Yeah. So we need to do the same thing. We need to do the same thing. So that like I mentioned much earlier in the stream, the company type implements only the absolute basic types. So get name, get ID, get deleted, set deleted. That's it. That's all we need for company. The other roles and flags contain more information than that. So for example, roles and flags both associate with a company. Flags have whether they are a green flag or a red flag, and the role also has now a role description as well. So next we need to implement basically this for all of the JSON companies types. But have I made a mistake in... No, I'm passing in the stub store. Okay, so that doesn't actually matter. Yeah, I think we're good here. I think we're okay. Vincent says, off to bed. Get the respirator recharge. The stream should appear after the stream is complete on the channel, so you should be able to watch it back later. I know a few crazy people who did that last time. Thank you very much to those people. It was very, very nice of them. Yes, you should be able to watch it whenever. I will have to stop. I think I can give it another hour, probably, if anyone can last that long. Great seeing you, Vincent. Hope to see you again in the future. But yeah, really nice seeing you. Drop by the Discord as well. Like, we have a Discord. If people want to pop in and say hi there, that would be really lovely. If you're not already on there. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to impulse store for Json store. Now, this is going to get a little bit more complicated because we actually know that we have 2 of these. Json store. That's not the correct type. Honestly, I'm just a little bit blown away that people turn up for this stuff. It's just me prattling on like an idiot, and honestly, you guys are awesome for just coming along for this weird ride. We will need the type for S as well, which we know to be store S. Did I? Oh yeah, because store is the generic. Oh, sorry, store is the trait, beg your pardon. So we can't say like stub store T because stub store T is a concrete type with a generic field. We need just a trait for the trait bounds. Right, so now not all traits are implemented. That's fine. We can just create them like this. Oh my goodness, we might actually be able to get there. Now, each of these, or some of these, are going to have to write the thing. Okay. Okay, I have jumped too far ahead again. So earlier I mentioned that we will want to be able to get the data from the base path and read it into the internal store. So in order to do that, we would like to do a read directory to find all of the files that are JSON files. Oh no, don't tell me that. The Discord link has expired. Let me just put one into the chat real quick, and I'm going to have to go through and change all of the descriptions of all the videos. Where is Discord? Let me... Fierce Quest. How do I get that? Invite people? Nope. Yes. Copy. I bet I need to do this from Windows machine. Okay, so there is a bug on Discord on Mac, I think, where if you hit the copy button, instead of giving you the link, it gives you this into your clipboard. What would be? Let me just get it up on. Can I join? Let's see if I can get it on the web. On the web, Discord, login. Phone will probably work, or not. Try that one more time. Don't worry, Vincent. You're not delaying this. Well, I mean, I need to fix this anyway, and I think it would be good to just. I did not realize about the Discord link. That's really frustrating because I guess without the Discord link, there's no way for people to tell me that the Discord link is broken. Absolutely genius. So I need to do. Sorry, get my one-time password up. Discord. Assume you're on here. Yep. Glad I'm doing this on a different screen. Yeah, Discord is holding up the stream. No one else. Fears Quest. Invite people. There we go. There we go. Let me know if that works actually before you pop off. Sorry, I feel like I'm keeping you up now. I'm the one that's causing the issues, but if that doesn't work, let me know. Unfortunately, I think you have to have your boosted your Discord thing boosted to like high heaven to get an actual proper permanent link, which is annoying. I thought it was set to not expire. I'm sorry. I will write it down. I'll write it down to fix it at some point. Do I write it? What I should do is create a GitHub project for, you know what, I'm going to do that as well, because I think it's a sensible thing. Let's create a Fears Quest level project. New project. I just want a blank, oh yeah, team planning is perfect. Create project. Okay. Project is going to be called Fears Quest tasks. Save. Okay, brilliant. Thank you, Vincent. I'm sorry about that, and thank you for letting me know so that I could fix it, because that is not great for building up my little community. Then we want to check why Discord link changed, or at least make sure it doesn't do it again. There we go. Great. Okay. Vincent, send me your GitHub account and I'll add you to that issue as someone who contributed. I've been trying to do that for people like when they spotted problems in the book, but maybe don't have time to fix it, just at least like mention that they were the ones that found the problem and stuff. Credit where it's due and stuff. But yeah, it was really good seeing you. Okay. Where was I at? So this is not going to work. Sorry, well, it's obviously not going to work. Okay, it was the reading of data, this bit. So what I need to do is get every JSON file in the current base path and then read it into the internal store. So first things first, how to go from base path dot read dir, perfect. Read dir is not going to be. I want the Tokyo one, you see. There we go. Why do I need to clone it? Surely it'll take a reference. Let's just check the type on that. So the type is impulse as ref path, which a reference to a path buff will. And then we can await here. That's going to cause a problem. So now, because we're reading files, we are hitting a point where this function could now fail, which means, unfortunately, I'm going to have to do a result of self. Errors should be fine, because I think this is still going to end up being a Tokyo IO error. That should fix that, and then we'll just put this in an OK. So, what do we get out of this? Let's dir. Thanks again, Vincent. Where did people get to on the poll? Let's have a look. 100% of people only use it for personal projects. Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing, I think. It's the same for me, as you know, I guess, unless you count Fears Quest as professional, which jury's out on that one, I guess. I think that's the problem for me, is I just can't find Rust jobs that are not blockchain. There was a company that I applied for that was doing self-driving cars. I had concerns about that one. I probably still would have taken the job if they'd offered to me, but they didn't. So maybe that's for the best. Other than that, I'm not really seeing anything, which is, I think, is a shame. but it kind of makes sense as well. So going back to when I was talking about the one time I used it professionally, when I was working for a company called Apolitical, who make this amazing it's like a social and learning platform for civil servants, which I think is a really cool thing because it's an international thing. It allows people to sort of like communicate and share ideas and learn from each other like across the whole world. And a lot of they also had like this journalistic aspect to it, where they write a lot of the articles, and a lot of the articles that they wrote were just like really interesting things from countries that you just like, you know, I guess like as a you know, Western white guy might not think about doing these incredible things in the space of civil service. Maybe more of a reflection of myself than anyone else, but still. What happened was I joined very early on. I was the first engineer that they hired, and the second one to actually join, because my notice period was longer than the other guys. The two of us basically got handed a WordPress website that was trying to be a social network. And we needed to scale it to 1 million people potentially. And especially at that time, it was barely managing to serve 1,000 users. Not 1,000 concurrent users, 1,000 total users. It was really struggling. We found a load of problems with how it had been built by an external company, like really like silly little mistakes that you wouldn't notice until it scaled, and then you're like, oh, I think we found ended up being 4 places. No, beg your pardon. It ended up being 3 places where every single user was read into memory inside of the program. So that's why we were struggling at those sort of numbers. Very silly. However, what we basically started doing was, as we knew we wanted to grow, we basically broke the WordPress, everything that was in WordPress, down into microservices. Like, this is the member service, this is the article service, and so forth. And when we came to write the article service, we'd already got the member service out. And I was like, do you think this might be a good time to try out Rust as a potential alternative to Node? Because up to that point, we had agreed on using Node for everything. We had grown the team to 4 engineers? 3 engineers. We might have only had 1 extra person on at the time. No, 4 engineers, I'm sure of it. The other engineers were all very excited to try out Rust. So I built the articles service in Rust, and then no one wanted to touch it because Rust is a scary language. And that, to me, shows that it was a mistake. Now, we chose Rust because we knew it would be more memory efficient and faster than Node. We were pretty certain. Obviously, there is a lot down to how you write a program that makes it fast and memory efficient, but we thought, like, naturally, we'd have these 2 services we can compare to see how much faster and more memory efficient Rust is. And it ended up being 4 times faster and 5 times more memory efficient, which sounds incredible. But if I told you it went from like 8 millisecond response times down to 2 and 20 megabytes RAM down to 4, you would realize that actually that was just a massive, like, it was a nothing burger. And so I would say it was a mistake to use it in that context because none of the other engineers wanted to use it. That said, we got an awesome engineer straight out of a boot camp. Literally boot camp straight into working at Apolitical, and she picked up Rust no problem. So I would also say that Rust is not as hard a language as I think we worry, but it is. I can definitely understand that it is a scary language to look at and doesn't work in the ways that people with like a decade of experience maybe necessarily expect it to work. Anyway, that was a whole other digression. It's just anyway. So I need to get the files out of the read dir structure. I need to get back into, that is the standard library. Don't care about that. We are not dealing with that at the moment. Don't care about this. Getting rid of that. I'm going to remember why I brought that up in a minute and then regret closing it. Don't need that. Tokyo FS, this is where we're at. So we would like to understand what happens when we read dir. We get back a something, this read dir structure. So let's just go and look at the documentation for that. Okay. looks like we get a set of dir entries. So it looks a lot like an iterator, actually. So I'm guessing, oh, okay, I'm going to have to look at the stud. FS read dir for actual Rust, because I bet this is going to have an actual example. And we can assume that Tokyo is basically just mirrored the actual example. So, yeah, this is going to for entry read dir. So basically just want to check it's a file, and then if it is a file, we probably want to make sure it's a JSON file. I know like operating systems love to put in little hidden files, so we probably want to make sure that that's the case. I have the UUID package. I was wondering if we could just like check whether something is a UUID. I was really hoping the node UUID package does it. Guess not. We can probably try. Okay, first of all, for entry in dir, great. That's exactly what we want. If entry dot is file, no. Not an iterator. This one is. Does this implement iterator? So the. Oh, hang on a minute. This is a read dir. That is a dir entry. So it is different. Oh no, hang on. Yeah, the iterator will return that. Interesting. So I assume this implements into iterator. Does this one? Oh, the AI thinks it does, but the documentation does not. Okay, let's go look at read dir again. Let's look at it in here. That's probably not the sensible place to look at it. Let's go back over here. Okay. Okay, it does. Okay, this sort of makes sense. So it's not an iterator, but we could repeatedly call next entry. So what we probably want to do is instead of doing a for in, we probably want to do a while sum entry in dir dot next entry question mark dot await question mark. There we go. Is that getting right? I think it might need to be mutable. While let sum. Okay, so I'll explain this in a second, assuming it works. Doesn't look happy. Not found on this. This file. There we go. Okay. So to explain this, basically, well, what I wanted was really an iterator. In the thing that's happening in the background here is going to be more like disk access, which I've heard like people calling the older technology spinning Rust. Like in the worst case, obviously having to wait for physical things to move around. But even on like NVMEs, that's still not going to be as fast as just accessing memory, which means it's going to be a blocking process, which is why in Tokyo, I guess, that they have the asynchronous version of getting each item from here. This is going to return a result, which we're going to just abstract away as just like if it breaks, let us know by returning this as a failure. Then this will give us an option of some entry. So we're going to use while let sum to keep iterating over while the pattern matches. So when this hits none, the pattern won't match anymore. So it should drop out and give us something new to look at here. Sorry, it should drop out and give us the final result of this thing. So next, what we need to do is for each entry that is a JSON file, we will want to check that it's, so we need, for each entry, we need to check that it is a JSON file, and then read that JSON file into the internal store, which is here. So let's see if we can work that one out. So, so if entry.isFile, I wonder if we could just do like entry. Oh, look at that. I'm starting to wonder if it's actually just like listening to us talk about this. Why is it unhappy? Because evaluate block, that's fine. It's because I haven't written anything in here. So now we should be able to read the file dot. Is it going to still be? I'm curious about the file type thing there. It looks like we don't actually have access to the file at this point, because I'm guessing entry is a dir entry, not a file. I wonder if it contains the file in some way and we can pattern match our way through this. Oh, I got a different answer on the poll. Oh, not currently. Well, I mean, thank you whoever's turned up and is watching the stream and not currently using Rust. That's awesome. If you are comfortable typing in chat, I'd love to know how you ended up here. Perhaps you're just like looking forward to using Rust or something, but like I say, don't feel pressured to talk about it. What I want to do is, that's not quite right. So we think that the entry probably is a file, but I want to turn it into a file. That's also not going to work. So the options we have, okay, I'm gonna have to go look at the documentation again. So we've got dir entry. Yeah, I can just click on it here. Oh, okay, fine. So I will need to know that it is a file. Hang on a minute, do I? No, I'm being incredibly silly here. I am being incredibly silly because I can just give, I know that it is a file because I've just asked it if it is a file. So now I can pass it over to read file, which is another function I think. Or just read into bytes. That gives us our vec-u8. So then in Serde, we just need to turn the vec-u8 into an object, which I think is literally just this. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. This could be interesting. Okay. So forget that. We would like let's file data. Oh, I think it came up there, didn't it? Read fs read. Why can't I just give you entry? I would think that that'd be enough. I think the thing might be being overly. There, okay, so there's our vec8, maybe. Interesting. I don't really want to. Okay, fine. Okay. I was thinking I don't really want to create a new path buff unless the entry contains the path buff inside of itself, but then it's returning an owned path buff, which makes me think that it's probably creating this on the heap somewhere. So nice to avoid that sort of thing, but in this case it looks like there may not be an easy way around it, or maybe there is, who knows. So the next thing is going to be, we are going to assume that this is going to be a company. Oh, wait a minute. No, we're not in company territory at the moment. It's literally going to be of type T. And then we want to do Serde JSON from read file. Data as slice. Yep, that should give us... I think we should be able to just give it an ampersand. Yeah, it's going to be like a as ref. It is not. R is of type... Oh, okay. From reader. Oh, because I'm doing the wrong thing. From str. From slice. There we go. Cannot convert error to errors. Yep, that's fine. So the error type for this is going to be something else. So we just need to find out what that is and add it to our list of errors. I'm actually going to go fix that mistake I mentioned earlier where I don't think this needs to be this. I think we can add the Tokyo IO error into our underlying error type, wherever that's gone. Storage error, look at that. Let's call it a Tokyo I error. And we will probably want let's just check the type again. Oh, don't tell me. Looks like partial EQ is not implemented on... Oh, I think... Okay. This is very annoying. Okay, so I can probably work this out later. And again, I probably should be using anyhow, as someone mentioned earlier, or this error, whichever one it is. Hitting the wrong buttons. None of the errors from these libraries implemented partial EQ, which is interesting. Not sure why they don't, but it must be some sort of pattern I'm not familiar with, or like convention I'm not familiar with. That means that I'm going to have to turn it into a string which does implement partial EQ, which I can do. Where are these being stored? Oh, okay, at that level. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So, it's not going to be... Did I delete the actual from? Yeah, okay. So we're going to get rid of this error. We are going to do... Was it storage error? Yeah. And then drop that to self so that if I change it later, it's fine. I think we called it Tokyo I error, and then it's just going to be this toString. It's not great at all. I'd much rather have the proper error type in here, but it will work. And then the next thing I need to do is, because again, we are going to be using, oh look, exactly this, I think. Well, you were so close. We will need Serde JSON error in the underlying type, so let's get that in. And I'm guessing Serde JSON. I'm guessing we're going to get the same thing here, right? Partial EQ is not implemented for error. Okay, fine. Maybe I just need to get rid of partial EQ from this so I can use the actual proper types. I think I might have tests on it though. It's the only problem. Just have a quick run of this, see what happens. Yeah. Oh no, that's fine. That's fine. Don't care about that. T serialize not satisfied. Don't care for a minute. Looks like it might be okay to do that. So let's use the proper errors then. Tokyo IO error and Serde error. Cool. And again, it's just something I'm going to have to fix at some point. That fixes that one. This is Serde JSON error. Okay, so that will do the transformations for us. And now using question marks should be fine. This is going to be storage error. And this is as well. And then I'm curious where these other errors are coming in. Type T is not satisfied. Yep, that's fine. It's because I haven't added these on yet. Why are we still getting errors there? Future cannot send between the threads safely. JSON store itself is not send because it's not sync. Send and sync are yeah, that could be a problem. Let's have a think about this. I think it's probably just that this also needs to be send and sync. Let's have a look. So send and sync are automatically derived traits, like totally automatically derived. You don't really have much option if your thing is like, if your type is made out of types that are send and sync, then your type is send and sync. You don't have to apply it yourself. However, if it's not, then you might get into trouble. So S can't be sent between threads. Didn't I just change this? Maybe I forgot. Getting there. Interesting. No. Create file name. Okay. Store.create file name. Did I change it? No. So I probably made some other mistake. That's interesting. Okay, we'll come back to that one. I think everything else... here we go. Here's the issues with the... can't use partial EQ. That is so frustrating. Okay, fine. Fine. Go back to having that as a string then. Okay. Oh. And then I have to go to where that's now broken, which will be back in JSON, right at the top. We will work this one out later. Hopefully when I use the proper libraries for doing this, hopefully that'll fix it. Right, I promised myself I'd drink more this stream, and I set a timer button to push to remind me, and I have entirely forgotten. Right, give me a second while I have a little sip. Go back to this screen. Okay. Oh, I got another answer on the little poll. Oh, someone uses it for work. I would, again, wow, we got 8 votes. Wow. Again, for people who use it for work, let me know what you're up to. Is it blockchain stuff? Is it something else? And again, for people not currently using Rust at all, like, why, like, why are you here? I guess, like, you know, I really hope that you're enjoying the stream, but let me know, you know, what, like, what's up, and I don't know if you feel comfortable. Like, let me know how you ended up here. I guess in the first place, is Rust something you're looking to use in the future, or you're just curious in general programming, or yeah, we'll see how it goes. Anyway, back to the coding. I think curious about why these should have gone. I think yeah, my ID might be misconfigured. It should be getting rid of those things. Base path and internal store are never used, but we know that they are, so that's interesting. Let's just, sorry, let's just carry on with this for a second. This is going to be an item, not a company, because we're dealing with T and the generic type. T needs to be deserialized owned, so that should be fine. And then internal store.store item. .await. Oops. Excuse me. Okay. Oh no. No method store found. Dot create. Which means this needs to be mutable, maybe? Yes, of course it does. Because we're taking ownership, we just need to say that it is mutable, and that should be fine. It's literally like we own this at this point because we're not taking a reference. So we're just saying that the thing that we own, we are going to mutate it. Again, it's just like one of those things about Rust holding your hand. I really love it. Create file name is never used. That's like, oh, right. So as a complaint, this is weird, right? Like company store. So we can quickly work this one out because it would be nice to get through that. So EQ, oh, because I need to put the partial EQ back on to our error type, which I forgot to do. Was it here? No. Yeah. That'll make that problem go away. I don't know the other things. I just need it for testing. That's literally it. I don't need to know if like this should be okay. I'm obviously not testing libsql error or anything like that. So let's rerun that. Getting there slowly. So no method called create file name. Because I'm not using the Json store company. This worked earlier, so I'm going to assume that it's like that's the issue. So stub company store. Really? Oh, I'm hitting that point in the stream again where I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. This should return a result, but it's not finding JSON store. But we are using superstar. Superstar. And we have a struct called JSON store. And on that we have a FNU. We do need to make our test async, which does mean we need to move to Tokyo test, I think. Tokyo test as the this thing, so we can make this async. And then oh, hang on, I do see there's. Do I see a problem here? Can't find the new method. Right, let's just see if we can get the ID to help us out with this. Let store equal JSON store. Oh my word, I know what it is. Okay. I forgot my, I don't know what you call it. The double colons here is what says like I need to fill in the generic here. So now this is on an output. Sorry, this is a future and I'm going to write in an expect on this one because I think I want to say like could not create store to make it really clear in this test what exactly failed, because obviously in non-testing code you should never be using expect, but in here I think because we are like, if this doesn't work the test should fail, and that's fine. We're not obviously not testing the new function, arguably we're testing the create file name here, but we'll see how it goes. Anyway, that now hopefully should run. A load of warnings about unused stuff, but it does. Okay, so we haven't totally broken it. We just don't know if it works yet or not. So next up, I think we are up to the point where we can probably do the implementation. So as I explained last time, this is maybe a little bit of a mess, but I have generic tests. It's not this one though, right? No, it is this one. Okay, so if I go up carefully. Oh, is it this one? No. Here? Yeah. Okay, so I make this as big as I can so everyone can see. It's actually where I started to really struggle last time because I had not zoomed in my IDE so no one could read it, and then went into presentation mode, which meant I couldn't see a large amount of the file. So the way that I've written these tests is that you'll notice that test by get ID does not have a test marker on it. It's because each one of these is going to accept a store and test whether that generic store does what it's expected to do. And then further down, you'll see I've got my mod stub company store, and this just calls each of those tests with a stub company store. It gets a little bit more complicated with like rocks and libsql, because I've got a special function called called new temp, which I should probably make that for this one as well. Yeah. And so basically all I need to do is pretty much copy and paste one of these modules and just change it to use the JSON version of the JSON company store instead. And then that will pass the JSON company store into the pre-written tests to make sure that the behavior is correct. So test update company, will put a company into there, get the company back by ID, update the company name, and then pop it back out again. Hi Frank. Yes, it will. It will be. I'm actually going to like triple check, but I'm pretty certain it's set to enable DVR. I think that's the option for it reappearing later. I certainly hope so. It should end up as a VOD or VOD that you can watch at any point. I think we're about 21 minutes and not 21 minutes. Oh my goodness. 2 hours and 37 minutes in if you need to pick it up again tomorrow. I hope that's helpful. But thank you for coming along. Really glad to... Oh, you joined me last time as well, I think, Frank. Really good to see you again. I am going to jump to... I'm going to guess, like, with a lot of people disappearing at this time, I think maybe the stream is a bit too late. Thank you. I think I need the good luck. Thanks. I'm trying to work out where a good point to put the stream is. I'll probably, again, if you guys join the Discord, I might put it in there for as a sort of a general question. It'll need to be some point, like, again, hope to work in the future, so it'll have to be outside of working hours or typical working hours for UK time. But I think I want to find a nice place that people are comfortable joining. And I'm pretty sure... I wonder what my channel stats actually say where people come in from. Anyone curious? I'm going to go for it anyway. So, analytics, audience. Most people watch on their computer, which is good. 35% of people watch my videos on their mobile. I don't know how they read anything. I'll have to make sure I'm making sure the text is real big. Oh my goodness. Everyone always complains about, like, oh, you know, yada yada, people aren't subscribed. I really don't care if people subscribe, but I do have good subscriber numbers of the people that are watching, which is really cool. Disappointingly, 100% of my viewers are male, according to this. Most people watch with the subtitles turned on. I can't see. Okay. Wow. Okay. So 10% of my audience apparently in the United States, 3% is in India, and 1.6% is in the United Kingdom. And I probably know about half of that 1.6%. So I will try and bear that in mind. I think getting good times for the US, India, and the UK will be a challenge. But I will see what I can work out. Also, is anyone watching from India? Say hi in the chat if you are. That's really cool. Okay, let's look. We want to, so the test already exists. So all I need to do is duplicate something like this. So I'm literally just going to copy. I'm going to put this underneath, paste, and then I'm just going to go through and just change all the stubs to JSONs. JSON, company store. This will not take too long, I think. You know what I should have done? Can I do that? And then... So one thing I was wondering about, at some point... That's okay. Just reminded me that I need to... We're going to do a new temp as well. Still have to pass in the stub store. That's probably okay. Would it be nice to not have to do that? Oh, I wonder... So this is going to be... So the JSON store... What I kind of want to do is basically create a trace around this that allows me to specify the store type later in a method, in a static method on the type that's being implemented for. And that will make a lot of problems go away. It means you don't have to think about it when you're creating this, because the store type is always going to be a substore of the type that you're creating your JSON store for. It's a struct, therefore I don't think I can do it. I'll have a think about that one. Let's leave it for now. I'll have a think. The actual thing I wanted to do, though, was basically do a... so what's quite cool in another thing in Rust that you can do is you can use the CFG attra to basically say, like, the thing I'm about to give you only works in a specific environment, or like a build... I can't remember the name of the... you've got like test, debug and release. There's a word for it. Oh, it's definitely hit that point in the stream, guys. I definitely think it's going to have to... We'll see how far we get with the actual writing, or like we'll see how far we get with maybe getting the tests running, and we'll see if we can actually implement enough that I feel like it is reading and writing two files. That would be nice. It's maybe a bit chunky to get done tonight, but we'll see. CFG attra will tell us, I think, conditional compilation. And so it's like they've updated this. This looks nice, but target is the word I was looking for. Just popped into my head there. So if you are building for test, then we will give you an additional function that you can't use in like a proper target. So this will be new temp, which I think matches the other ones. We are not going to take a base path because the base path is going to be the temp directory, which we can get from somewhere. I'll have a think about that in a minute. It's also what we should be using in the test further down as well. Still, store, stub store T. I think that's what we had earlier, right? Should be internal store. And the nice thing is, let's just do, sorry, directory, temp directory Rust, I think. So the reason I'm looking this up is because it's going to be different on different operating systems. So if we just call the function temperature, it's going to give us the temperature for the OS. So literally all we need to do now, this has to be the same type. So result, I believe it's an async as well. Self or storage error. And literally all we now need to do is call the new function self new and then temp dir. And the reason, like, you might think, well, why? We don't need to wait it because we're returning a promise anyway. Are we? Interesting. Interesting. That would actually cause a problem in JavaScript, but I guess it's just the way that it wants to do it here. I suppose the issue is I'm not telling it that we're... No, because desugaring in Rust works differently. I'm rambling on again. Anyway, the reason that I'm going to write this dead simple wrapper that gives us a temp dir here is because I don't want my future self to make a mistake where I use the wrong temp dir when I'm doing tests. So for example, this test would not work on Windows because I've been silly and done this. So instead of doing that, what I actually want to do is get rid of all of that and then do new temp. And that will now, even if I run it on here, on Windows, on Linux, that will give me the correct location to temporarily store files in. So now if we go back to here, we can do new temp, with the main problem being that we still need to do memory, let's do stub store equals new, what language am I writing now? Stub company store, oops, that was it, new. And then that can just be passed in here. So I'll have a think about how to get rid of that as well, because it would be nice if, now that I know that I can type this as subject, Tesco by name store. I have missed something here. Trait is not satisfied. Gosh, that is crazy. Because I haven't implemented store T. Is that not what I was doing a minute ago? Oh, no, I'm being stupid. It says right here, Daniel. It's the exact same thing we had earlier. So await.expect could not create store is fine. It'll do. It's not ideal. Arguably. Since this is only for tests and I don't care if they block, maybe I just put it in there. And that's one less thing we have to worry about. So let's do that. What's the command? Is it command B? Oh, perfect. Look at that. So we're going to drop the... oh, because I can't block. Okay. I mean, I could get rid of the result at least. Dot expect. So again, it's only for testing. Did I write this? I think I did it all the way back to there. Okay. So this is only for testing. So this is just going to fail if it doesn't correctly make the store, but I still need to await it, which is a bit of a shame. I think maybe in the libsql ones I did the same. Oh, look, await a wrap. Could have just done that. Fine. Fine. Okay. Go back to having this. Why don't it just undo. Okay. I kind of want to keep the expect. Maybe it's fine. Maybe it's fine. Okay, that now works. We'll call that a win. So the cool thing is I just need to replace basically this line on everything. I can Control G. No. Command G. Huh. What am I doing wrong here? Control Shift T. No, Control Shift A. Select next occurrence. Select. Oh, Control G. There we go. That's probably going to put an extra space in, but it should be fine once I save. Okay, so now our tests are written. Again, I would like to get rid of this, but we'll do that another time. If I run, every single test there should fail because we haven't implemented anything yet, but it should at least compile. And we should see, there we go, look, I'm pretty happy with that. So, wait a minute. Wait a minute. This is the one that should fail. This one should be passing. Why are you not? Oh, because it's gone var. Interesting. Oh, because of this. Interesting. So now it's using var as the temporary folder. Okay, okay. Oh, that's going to be really hard to test. What line is it failing on? Oh. That's interesting, isn't it? So it's actually failing on the none. So the var actually comes afterwards. Fascinating. Okay, let's go back to what we had earlier. Where we did the assert EQ file name. That's actually going to give us the correct I think there'll be different types, so I might get away with let's do as oh my goodness, I am getting tangled. What did we do earlier? Let's just do path buff. Probably wasn't correct. I doubt any of this is right. Okay, I just want to see what's inside it. That's a very silly way to do it. So now when we look at it, what do we actually see? So I think this is where my test, the way that I'm testing is probably not right. Odd that it failed on the last one, but not on these, which also suggests that something's wrong. Maybe we just need to get to the last item and just check this bit. I can't think of anything else. If anyone has any good ideas for testing this in a sensible way, I'm back to feeling like I don't really trust this is going to work correctly. But maybe I'm overthinking this one test. Anyway. So now, still failing. Oh. Very silly. Okay, this time it worked. So company doesn't work. That's fine. That's what we expect. So the next thing we need to do is make sure that we implement enough to say like, okay, how does the test create company work? So we need to do create and we need to do get by ID. So these are the two things that I just want to implement to see if we can get at least that far. So if we go back to our JSON company store, nope, not you, because we're doing it at the top level. So it's in just the JSON. I think. Our allowed to do is gone. Here we go. So we need to implement create to begin with. We will need to create a new file named oh, wait a minute. Does this already all work? I'm pretty sure this already all works. self.internal store.createItem.await. Now here's something interesting. I probably don't actually want to do two. Oh, it needs to be. Sorry, bear with me while I think about this. So you can see here that I have two awaits, which isn't ideal. because I'm writing to the disk and writing to memory. This one should basically be instantaneous, almost. Like, I don't even think any code actually inside this blocks. So I think maybe I don't need to fix anything here. However, were we doing this properly, I believe what we would need to do is something like this. So we would save the promise, sorry, not the promise, the future in Rust terms. File like this, and future store equal that. And then I believe we can do future file, future store. Do I need to dot await that? Whoop. The AI thinks I do, but I'm almost certain that that's something already not correct. Does this take a Interesting. Why is it sad? Oh. Now the question here is, how do I handle the errors in this? There. So I can probably destructure this. Result file, result store. Now you'll see, sorry, let's get this done. So I believe, I don't think I need to do anything with that. I think it's just, okay. The reason that we've got a red line here is because we have not actually finished dealing with this first reference before we pass away ownership, which means that I kind of need to do this. Nope. Temporary value is freed at the end of the statement. That it is. I think if we do cloned item, equal item.clone. Okay, so I am going to undo all of this, but I kind of wanted to check if this was going to work. Okay, so, oh my goodness. It's borrowed as immutable. Where is it borrowed as immutable? Immutable borrow occurs because the first self. That's weird. Hang on, have I made a mistake entirely? Do I need to? No, let's leave that as it is. Okay, that's fine. We'll go back to what I had originally. I think this would normally be the correct way to do it, but we are basically calling two methods on the same object. So the state of the object is being carried into those two methods. So even though we're not using internal store in write file, I think it's basically upset that I'm passing in a immutable reference to internal store by calling write file, which gets an immutable reference to self. I think that's the problem it's complaining about. I think the thing is though that for immutable store, for internal store, that's instantaneous. So I don't really need to worry about the fact that I'm calling two promises one after the other. That might be an interesting one to investigate in the future though. Don't need to do that. Just put the awaits, get rid of the join. So this is fine. This one is going to be blocking, which is why the await is important. This one isn't, but only by nature of the fact that we know the internal store is going to be of type stub store, and stub stores are using vectors internally, so there is no blocking. I've just realized that's not entirely true. There's no blocking user. Sorry, it just entirely blocks the entire process. If the vector gets too big, what will happen internally if you've seen my last collections video, you already know this, is that the operating system or the code inside of Rust will basically go like, oh, I've run out of space. I need more space. So I'm going to ask the operating system for as much space as there is on the current vector. And then I'm going to ask for more than that. That gives me a load of blank space. I then have to copy the entirety of the current vector into the new space and then get rid of the old vector. All of these calls to the operating system are blocking. You may not get a response back immediately. So that's why that's not actually entirely true. For a little desktop app, I'm not going to panic. What I might do is write a little note in here. Both of these are blocking. And should use join, but issue with references to self. Okay, we'll come back and do that one. And then additionally, I think I'm just gonna have to write on the stub store type to do. So as I mentioned, processes on that are potentially blocking. I'm gonna bet sorry, that's the actual one. Nick. They don't have one. Interesting. Oh, I might have to bring in async stud anyway. Oh, they don't have one either. Okay. Maybe there's no way around it. That's odd. Maybe my entire concept of how this works is wrong. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being wrong. Let's leave that. So in that case, I don't think I need to worry about the join. It again, like if you were doing something with, say, calling two APIs on a distant server where those two calls don't rely on each other and one happens after the other, you ought to do them at the same time, not wait for one to finish and then continue with the other one. So in JavaScript world, we would typically use something like a promise.all and then just call the two things inside of there, and then you get back an array that is the answer to each one. Similar for this, we have a macro called called join ! And that does basically the same thing for us. Going back to this. Now, the issue I've just realized disastrously is in here, we only read the data one time. So if it's not in... No, that's fine. Is it fine? Right, hang on a second. So when we create the JSON store, we read everything that's currently stored. When we create an object in the data store, we both write the file to disk and update our internal store. So it actually doesn't matter that we don't reread the files. So I think get by ID. So that was create. So create just writes the file. We can drop that and then stores it in here. So that's fine. So get actually, I think, only needs to call the internal storage. I think a lot of these are only going to need to do that. They're just going to be wrappers around this. My goodness, there's no way this is going to work, right? Get by, oh yeah. And find by name is different, but it should still be... Find by name basically returns potentially multiple answers. So if you, I don't know, apply to Amazon and Amazon-y, and you start typing in Amazon-y, both will pop up. So this is just going to be find by name. And then update is going to be the only other interesting one, which is actually going to do another write file. And I think it's going to be interesting on the, do we need to worry about the fact that the file already exists? Do we need two methods here? Because let's just run the tests, find out. Oh, I still haven't done delete. We'll come to that in a minute. I'm probably going to want a delete file method for that. Ooh. Why is company broken, Jason? Oh, yeah. Wait, Jason's broken again? Panicked at here. Could not create store. Already exists. Oh, okay, cool. Which is probably the same error we're going to get on... Oh, it's all worked. Interesting. Interesting. New temp directory already exists. Interesting. The already exists error is something specific. It's not you. Oh, frustrating. Panicked on this line. Could not create. But why would you get the already exists error from this? Because we have that here, but we're not calling it on this one. That's really interesting. Why here? Oh, it'd be so nice to get this done. Okay, tell you what, let's do this real quick. We would like a delete file, probably. There's a part of me that kind of wants to not delete the file, but we'll just go with it. Remove file. Doesn't need this bit. Should just be that. Okay, that should hopefully make that work correctly. Now, the next question is, why on earth would this respond with already exists? That's such a weird error for this one. Because... Oh. How can that... Okay, so I think the error that's creating the already exists is reading from the temp dir. Let's do a breakpoint. We'll have to do this in debug. That's going to require a new build, I think, because it will have to add more. Okay, might be fine. Might be able to do it from the tests here. Okay, it's not like doing debug builds on the entire workspace. I think that's fair. Can I? Oh, no. Okay, just move that off screen so you can't see how many characters I have in my password. Okay, so here we are. We've got this base path. And now, what I was curious about, if I copy the value, and then I go, there should not be anything in here. And what? No. Interesting. Okay. In that case, what we can do... Here are our JSON files. So these files do already exist. This is weird. Okay, someone else. I guess someone else is using UUIDs. That's okay. What we'll do is we will push onto our temp file thing here. That's not where it is, Daniel. New temp. Okay. Instead of this, that. Sorry, base path dot push. Nope, I am going to do something real stupid. UID, uv auto string, and then Ooh. Okay, now it's guaranteed to be unique every time you create a new temporary one. I am really curious about why this is the temp dir and not /temp. Macs are weird. We will need to rerun this, so where is our debugger? Let's just rerun that and change the code, so I'll have to recompile. And now it's panicked. Why? Great file name. Oh, wait. Yeah, no, hang on. Okay, could not create no such file or directory. So this is happening. This is a Tokyo IO error. Okay, this might be okay. I think what we probably need to do is create dir. Oop, oh, copied in the wrong one. Create dir all, I think will give us everything that we need. Let's try that. Whoosh. Okay, however, I think that we probably always want to do this. So I'm going to move this to here. And I'm going to assume that it's fine. Sorry. Okay. That's quite funny. So they've got a function called asyncify that just takes the blocking function and moves it into a closure that I guess they pass into a async runtime and allow to block inside of that runtime, which, yeah, makes sense. That means, okay, recursive true create. I think this should be fine even if you end up with the same one. So just to check that, I want to see that I get the same error as earlier on the new temp here. So if I just drop this off and rerun, is that the right place? Oh no, it was happening earlier, wasn't it? No, it wasn't happening earlier. So we created a error that was further up in the path. So let's just rerun this real quick. Not in the path, in the call stack. That should be the same error as before, already exists. Great. So now if I put this back and run again, this time it works. And if I go back and run all of the tests, go on. One test failed. Is it going to be delete? Delete. Not yet implemented. What on earth did I change? Oh, it created a delete file, but I didn't implement this. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so then it's going to be self.delete file, ID, await. Ooh, because it's not, I'm deleting by UUID this time. So this is going to be slightly different. Okay, that's fine. Self.write data delete. No, what are you doing? Self.internal store, delete by ID, date deleted. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I don't need the delete file. I can just do write file. I can't do write file because the file needs the ID. Because write file is always going to take the entire object. Okay. Oh, God. Let's item equals self dot. Okay, don't know how I did that, but then we will do item dot set deleted. I need to make that mutable. This is I need to step back after the stream and think this through, because I'm not feeling this as being conceptually sensible. Nonetheless, we'll go back to doing write file here. Now I can do the item, internal data stored, ID, and date deleted. So I'll have a think about that one. That's, I think, interesting. Maybe delete should not be delete by ID. Maybe it just needs to be delete and then give it the object. We're not doing any deleting at the moment, so it's probably not too bad, but we'll have a look at that later. Mismatch types. Expected results. Is it because of the implementation of something? Because I didn't return okay. That's a weird place for that to... Okay, that's worth bearing in mind if you do need to use the async traits type, that this puts the error on the trait here rather than where it actually was, which was on this method. But let's go again. That only ran one thing. Daniel, what are you doing? Let's just run this one. Okay. Everything passed. So we have successfully added that as a file store. So the last thing that I'd like to do, I haven't been storing this on here at all. Okay. Feet, added, JSON file store. That's kind of a crazy commit. I'm very disappointed in myself for that. That is far too many files and lines changed to be a single commit. Need all of you watching me to keep me honest. Goodness. I don't want to push just yet. Why did cargo lock just change? That's interesting. Come back to that in a second. Before I do that, I want to do dx formats check. I want to do cargo formats check. And I think cargo clippy I think cargo clippy will come up with some warnings because we're not using certain things. Oh, those are interesting ones. So we're not using company. Interesting. These ones actually will. So this is why I kind of wanted to run this, was these ones will stop the delete file is never used. Yep, that's true because we just stopped using that. So if I do that again, we should get no warnings this time. If I do cargo test. So the reason I'm doing all of this is that, as people would have seen on the previous stream, not found in this scope. Interesting. Oh, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Okay, tell you what. Just do stud fs, was it? Or not. Stud env. I remember seeing that in docs now. Okay, that's fine. That'll get rid of that error. And without importing something that's only using this one thing. Variable does not need to be mutable because we're taking a reference to it, not part like actually iterating over it, so that's fine as well. Yes, so as people in the previous stream, who were on the previous stream will have seen, I do actually have CI already set up for this. So it's really important to make sure these things are correct before pushing them up. So if I push that now, we should on, if I go back to VS Quest, repositories, don't think there's any hidden ones, hopefully. Should all be public. Actions. Yeah, so we've got these running now. If I go over to pull requests, it should ask me to make one. Tell me I didn't just push this all to main. Okay, I need to put a protection on main. That was very stupid. Very annoyed with myself for that one. I can never remember how these actually work. I think I recently set one up on I think I set one up on the Iris book. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't. Sorry, not actions rules. I struggle a bit with the way that GitHub references things. Like this. Like, should restrict creations restrict updates? That feels like it should be on. I'm really not sure. Oh, look, let's put these on for me. So I then need require status checks we'll check which ones they are. Require pull request before merging. I think these are all fine. Let's just double check on here. So we need to check what the name of the status is. And I do want dismiss stale, because if you change it after someone's reviewed it, it should still. I mean, I don't need approvals, obviously. If you're working in a business, I think if you're working with a team of people who are reviewing code, I think it's a good idea to just put that on, even though it does mean you have to go back to people and say, like, I just changed this one thing. So, sorry. Want to go to. I never checked in with people on how my volume is this time. I noticed I made 2 mistakes last time. One was the volume was too loud. Didn't notice until after the stream and started watching. I was like, oops. The second one was that I had, I think, all 3 of my microphones turned on because I'm paranoid as heck. So I had 3 backup mics, and I think all 3 were turned on, but 1 wasn't plugged in. So the sound last time was terrible. I'm really hoping it's better this time. Oh, not projects repositories. Job tracker. Actions. I think I just want CI. Really? Oops, that's not what I meant to click. I think I just want CI. And again, like, add checks. It does not actually tell me. Is that a valid check? No idea. I didn't create a pull request, so I'm not going to find out from this one. Anyway, okay, it's a bit late. I just want to get through one last thing on here, which is changing the desktop app to use the Json store instead. It should already be available because of the way the application is structured by exporting the top level one. Oh, no, it won't be, because I need to implement all of the stores before I can replace them. So I think we're going to end the stream there with the company store having been done. I will probably on my own time do the ones for the role store and the flag store. And then I'm probably going to delete the libs SQL and rocksdb implementations. So that will be these 3 tasks done. I think those 2 are in particular just going to be very boring and no one needs to see that. What I might do for the next stream, if people can stand to be with me again, is maybe do the anyhow and or this error implementation, because I think that was a good shout by who mentioned it. I think it was Bonjian. Yeah. So I think that's a good suggestion. And I think that might be the next one to do in a stream so that people can see how that works. It's been a while since I've used that because I tend to be very... You're still here, thank you. I'm so glad. I think that's going to be a really good one to look at for people who may not have used these traits before. It's just another one of these ones that we, I think, like largely around the community, it's just like a utility that is just so powerful that everyone's sort of like uniformly gone around this particular one. Like I said right back at the very start of the stream, one of the things that I'm thinking about doing after Iris is maybe, rather than doing like the whole ecosystem section of Iris, I think that one of the issues that I'm worried about with that series is that it is a series, and I worry that people feel like they have to start from the beginning. So as I move on to like ecosystem stuff, I don't think it needs to be part of the series. I think you could just tune in for like one video on like, here's how Rayon works, here's how anyhow and this error work. So I might do that as a proper video after Iris is finished. I think, is it 5 more videos, one of which is already is ready to be filmed now. Do I still have Iris open? So iterators is ready to go. Yeah, threads, async, macros, and unsafe are the ones I'm thinking of finishing off on. All of them are, I would say, like more niche areas. Async is quite interesting. Because, so here's the thing. Sorry, I'm going to go on another one of my digressions. You can't write async in Rust like without having an async runner. So typically you would bring in something like Tokyo or the async stud runtime to enable that. But I'm not talking about ecosystem. So that puts me in a really sticky situation. I think if it's not totally insane, I might try writing a little runner. Like, not a practical one, not one you should ever use in the real world, but like in that episode, I might just say like, here is how you do this so that you can understand how it is done by other people, but you should definitely go and use their stuff because it'll be better. There is a bit of that in the iterators video coming up, so there'll be that as well. But yeah, let me just check my notes and see if there's anything else I wanted to cover before I end the stream. Does anyone want to shout out anything in the chat before I end the stream? I think I got everything. Oh, I remember right at the back of the start of the stream where I was talking about the things that I improved. I said, I don't know why I located the zoom on my IDE. That was what it was. Only 3.5 hours for me to remember what on earth I was talking about. And then I forgot about the water timer and didn't drink enough again. But there we go. Anyway, thank you everyone for joining in. Especially really massive thank you to people who contributed by making suggestions and stuff and shouting out various bad practices that I'm doing. I was laughing at the fact that in the previous stream, someone called out me, the idiomatic Rust guy, that my Rust was not very idiomatic. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. This was a bad choice. So I really love it when people have thoughts and ideas. I will try and, in the next one, I'll try and make sure that people feel comfortable making suggestions, even if they're not daily drivers of Rust. I want to have a final look at the poll as well. So where do we get to with this? We got 18% of people that are actually using it for work. 45% of people are using it, but only for personal projects. That includes me. I don't think I can vote on my own poll. And 36% of people are not currently using Rust at all. Join the Discord. It's linked in the chat. Apparently the ones on the video descriptions aren't working, but there's a link in the chat. I would love to know, what would you like to use Rust for? Are there any things that I could maybe be helping with for you getting going on your first project? Like, I would love to hear from other people what they think are good starting projects as well. Like for people who are using Rust, where did you start? What was an application you built that you found quite useful? What packages could we talk about? I mean, I might move dealing with packages into Iris. I would add one extra video without doing a deep dive on them. Let's have a look. I had project structure and Rust up as 2 separate things. We've already talked about Rust up, so I don't think to do that again. Maybe just do project structure in the future and then just include cargo so that we can talk about packages that you might find useful. Thinking about things like, what's the argument parser? Clap, things like that. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for suggestions. I hope to see you in the future. Feel free to join the Discord. Leave a comment. Thank you very much. And I will see you again in the future, I hope. Bye. He says, having no idea how to end the stream. Okay, bye.